never fucking got rain, did we? Because we don't do rain anymore. I remember when Simplay Motorsport used to just be rain.
All we had was fucking rain. It's Dan's fault. He's done a non-rain dance because we used to hate mixed weather.
Dan wanted rain.
Yeah, but he hates mixed weather, doesn't he?
I think Dan would have took mixed weather over this. Dan?
100%.
Yeah, see.
What?
Right, I'm going to nip away and get ready, and then
No worries, Kelly.
Back. I'll give you a
Mike.
shout in your chat, Dan.
Yeah.
Before we lead out.
Good luck, Mike.
Good luck, Mike.
Cheers,
Excuse
boys.
me.
See you later.
Man, go the fucking way, you prick.
That's Dad's back.
Who's in your way?
Fucking Beasley.
Remind me how I get the map off my screen.
Press the arrow next to drive.
Oh, yeah. But don't press drive.
Don't press drive.
Whatever you do, don't press the red button.
Unless you're a Sky Glass customer. Oh, no, wait, that's for another job.
You fucking witch.
Yeah.
Fucking Beasley's all over the fucking track, isn't he?
And now he pulls over, you fucking cock.
Technically, they're not allowed to pull over down the mountain, Daz.
Matt, he pulled out of the pit straight in front of me.
Oh, right, fair enough.
I flashed him all the way up the mountain, all the way down. Well, obviously you can't pull over then, but he should have got out of the way.
Yeah. You could race down the mountain in the race, just to let you know. There's only lap cars in it.
So you can still fight for his position.
Yeah, nothing's stopping you fighting for position. You'd be a fucking moron.
Going, well, mate. Mate, it's a pandemic.
Welcome to Simplay.
Welcome to the modern world.
I can't believe I've just done that. What a muppet.
Talking about morons.
I can't believe I've just done that. Oh, God.
What have you done?
So we've got two living room switches, right? One side where you come through to get to the stairs, and one by the kitchen, yeah?
Got ya.
I've shut the living room door, flicked the light off. I've gone to the kitchen door, gone to turn the kitchen light off, except I've turned the living room light back on at that switch.
What a tard. God, I think I'm going to have to pee again before we start.
We are live, so I'm going to start the comms box. Best of luck, chaps.
Yep, I'm off to Spain now, so I'll catch you later.
Best of luck, Daz.
Cheers, Matt.
Right, I'm going to go to a minute. How long we got?
Why, Delilah? Don't even know if they're the right words, but fuck it.
Right, I'm back.
No worries, dude. I went to go on Sky Shundermai there to show a bit of Sky before we started, before we went live. He's in the pit, so I can't do it. So we're just missing 2 drivers.
Right. Gary Leach is here.
Yep, Unsworth and Yakko.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Track's just gone optimum.
Track's been optimum for a while, but it has got...
Has it?
Yeah, it has got 2 degrees hotter. Oh, no. Who's just joined? Self joined. Oh no, now we're missing 2 drivers.
Right. Who's M. Carlos?
New driver.
Alright.
Been racing GT4s this season. He's new for tonight. Friedman's new for tonight or for the rest of the season. So
Yeah.
gives us an extra 2 on the grid, is considering that Pro's got 32 drivers signed up.
Right.
12 aren't fucking here. But only 6 of them declined, so 6 chose not to bother saying out, and 2 haven't yet turned up yet.
Have you added me to the reserves for Pro-Am yet?
No,
Ooh.
not yet. I need to do that.
Ooh, Dan's in the wall. Yeah. Well, you got a bit of time because I'm not going to compete till Imola, and that's a while away yet.
Yeah, no, it's just been a bit manic getting him registered at everything, getting settled.
That's
and
okay.
Stuff, so.
Yeah,
And
understandable.
I've had to do
As I
some
say, you got
voiceover
some
work
time.
and shit now as well this week, so...
I've got to do a load, well, not voiceover work, but I've got to do a load of pre-record stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I do the silent disco. Do you know I did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're now adding another, we do 80s and 90s, 2 DJs, myself and another guy, but now we're doing 70s, 80s and 90s.
Nice.
And we're doing, so 3 channels of music, but we're not adding another DJ. I'm doing it all on pre-record.
Fair enough.
But I'm thinking of using, you know that voice that always pops up on TikTok, that Adam voice?
Yeah.
Well, you can use that on, use that voice on a website called 11 Labs.
Right.
And you just type in what you want, and then it'll come out with that voice.
Yeah. So you're thinking
I
of doing that?
Yeah, so it's not
Nice.
my voice.
Nice.
There's a selection of other voices as well, but that one's beginning to get quite well known.
Yeah. I do some script sort of work, voiceover stuff for this Head York's Championship that I got work for. Ugh.
Right.
So I've been doing that all week. They basically sent me the script over and I've just been reading that, how they want me to read it, and they're going to edit it over their stuff to put out as promos and shit, so...
Ideal.
Yeah.
You get paid extra for that?
Yeah,
Or
got
that
paid,
as a
yeah,
job
got-
on itself.
Paid a bit extra. So... We'll see.
Cool.
First race isn't... Well, the first race is in April, but I've got Racing Unleashed commitments that day.
Yeah.
So they've got someone in to film me, but they want me to be main commentator, and they've got me and this other guy I've worked with before.
Right.
So my first one is May, but
Yeah.
they wanted me to do voiceover stuff for it, so I was like, yeah, no worries, I'm honoured to do that, thank you, and blah blah blah.
Good stuff. Whatever happened to Dan getting into this? Did he jump out of it in the end, or?
Yeah. So there was
Yeah,
Racing Unleashed were being dicks, really.
Right. Yeah.
Kept saying, we want you to work with someone else. Like, right, I've got the brilliant guy to work with. I know I want. If you're giving me the option to work with somebody, I know who I want.
Yeah.
Showed them my stuff. They liked Dan. I got Fabio to speak with Dan. They liked him. Nothing ever come of it. I'm still doing it on my own. So it's not like they've got someone else and just ignored Dan. I'm still doing it solo.
Right.
And then I got this stuff from home with Apex, and you know, they share all the screens, so we don't even need to have iRacing or anything. They share the screens. We get given the data, like a timing screen and everything. I said, Dan, why don't you do this? I've put your name forward to the bloke Lee. He says, all you got to do is just fill the format, really, and they'll just basically add you, and you pick and choose what you want if you want to do it. It's only £10 an hour, and the longest races is like normally, or the longest show's normally like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to do it, so alright,
Okay.
no worries.
Fair enough. I presume this is they're doing a
Oh, crap,
parade lap.
Yeah. Right, we're going to go live in
I was gonna
5,
say, don't we need
4.
to?
Hello and welcome to Simplay Motorsport. It's a sad week here for the channel as we kick things off with the parade lap at the front of the pack. Dan Davis and Mike Matthews, two of the admins here at Simplay Motorsport, drive or lead the drivers round for a lap of remembrance from our good friend and dear GT4 driver, Darren, aka Aaron Myers, who we found out on Tuesday had sadly passed away sometime over the weekend. Obviously, as we know, Dan and Lexi last night started the tributes in the GT4s and in the Pro-Ams, and we continue these tributes here tonight for Aaron Myers, who, as we've said, sadly passed away. The drivers, as you can see, a lot of them running the black or pink on their cars. Some have gone with black and pink to honour Aaron Myers. The black, obviously, in tribute of the armbands like you'd see people wear in football or cricket, rugby, whatever the sport may be, and the pink because that is what Darren will raced in on his GT4 car. 37 race starts, 1 pole position, 1 race win, and 3 podiums to his name. Many a battles on track, and I, more than anybody who raced with Aaron this year and last season on GT4s, had some fantastic fights with him. He was a great driver, a great competitor, and will sadly be missed. as we obviously pay tribute with this lap here at Bathurst. Tributes have poured in on the Discord, in the chat, on Pro-Am night, on GT4 night, continuing tonight with Tracy and with Rob Smith leading the way with tributes here in what has been, Kelly, this week, what shows what a community that Simplay Motorsport has, shows what kind of a community that sim racing has in the entire world, that we lose one of our own and we can pay respects in such a kind way.
Absolutely, it makes me very proud, Matt, when we do things like this. You know, unfortunately, the circumstances are grim, but as I said, it makes me proud of the community and that we come together. I was another one. I raced Aaron as well in GT4. So yeah, he will be definitely missed. And as I said, a tribute over all the nights. It's lovely to see. Obviously our thoughts and prayers are with his family.
Yep, of course.
At this time.
And from everybody here at Simplay Motorsport, we do wish the family, like Kelly's just said, our thoughts and prayers and love to everybody in the family. Aaron, you will be missed, but there will be a grid up there for you, buddy, and we'll see you on the grid again one day soon, I'm sure. But Aaron, what an honour, what a pleasure it has been to race against you, and many a driver this week have really poured out their tributes, none more than the people who knew him best. Old Sim Racer, Tips, Andy, a few of the guys from GT4 who know him personally, and as Tips in the chat there, Simplay have done Aaron proud. Well done, lads. It's I'd say it's the least we could do, but for Aaron, it's not the least we could do, because at the end of the day, he's one of our own. We didn't have him for long. 37 races, not a long time, and I'm sure he would have made many more appearances here at Simplay Motorsport. The number as well has been retired. His car number of the 93 has been retired, so that has been put to bed for the remainder of Simplay Motorsport, however long we go, as the lap sadly doesn't get to finish. The timer runs out on the clock. But Kelly, it was a time to reflect. It was a time to look back on things. The grid order is wrong.
Great, good start. I'm sure Dan would be very happy about that grid order, but anyway, we're at the mountain. Good old Bathurst, back again. The just crazy track that this is. Love it or hate it, it is a challenge up and down the mountain. It's the home of V8 supercar track, the Bathurst 500, and many other events here. A cracking track up and down Mount Panorama, and I'm looking forward to tonight and see how these pro guys get on with this challenge tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to sort out what is wrong.
Okay, I'll say hello to some of the people in the chat.
Sorry, Kelly, just briefly, quickly. We are going to go to a quick break screen. We're going to have a 5-minute practice, and we'll be back in a moment's time with the grid order, hopefully updated. So stay tuned. 5-minute practice, and we'll be back in a moment's time with the grid order, hopefully updated. So stay tuned. Two seconds, Kelly.
Yeah.
Just going to jump into Mike.
Yeah.
Jump into Mike. I don't know what's wrong here. The grid order's set on the G portal. I don't know what's wrong here. The grid order's set on the G portal. Event. 5-minute practice, you say? Yeah, that's when we're back onto chat now. So 21. Do a side-by-side screen there. Where's the message to John? No, I send John the grid order from to that video, so I'm just comparing it now. So Friedman 21. Skunky 8. O'Reilly 12. Yakko 20th. Clouden 11. Davis 16. Mike 9th. Yeah, everything's right. Restart. Not a fucking clue. I doubt it, because it should just override it, shouldn't it? If you've all come out the pit lane, you're all invalid. Did you put a first start? For it. You've actually got your... Oh, I didn't even notice the names wasn't there then. Right, so something's not loaded right there then, Mike, when we've reset it. Yeah, okay, alright. Neither did I, so we've just sat there for an hour and nobody's noticed. Brilliant. Either way, best of luck, boys. Best of luck, boys. Best of luck, Ben. The other telltale sign for it, Kelly, is all the team names have now loaded.
Sorry, what?
All the team names have now loaded. You know, underneath the driver's name, it says commentator under mine and all the team names for everyone. They wasn't there before. But it took us an hour to just click on that they wasn't there. Ben's just pointed out when the team names are there now. It's like, yes.
I got to join the thing again. I didn't realise that we're that I've been booted. Simplay 2, isn't it? No, I hadn't noticed that.
Oh look, 8 people have voted that water first and a cup of tea on the poll.
Is that the poll you put up? I didn't see that.
Yeah, I put it up during practice before the lap.
Yeah, I know I'm in the minority with that one.
The thing is, the track may now only be fast for the race, not rubbered in.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, oh dear.
I reckon people like Overtaker will be screwing because he doesn't practice on a fast track. He always sits in the pits, doesn't he?
Yep.
Oh dear, oh dear.
we're waiting for now then? Just
the start of the race.
right.
21 drivers in, which means the only person who's missing is Odiako. Okay, we'll go live in 5, 4. Welcome back to Simplay Motorsport. Apologies for the slight delay there in proceedings. We are back live now and we have got the grid order set. There is a blank space on the grid in that P4 spot, it looks like. That is where Gary Leach is meant to be. It's put Gary Leach down the back of the grid, so we won't get a reset just for the one driver. That could be, though, down to the fact that we are missing a driver, which sometimes does mess with the grid order a little bit. One of the drivers who had confirmed is missing, so Gary will start down the back of the pack. He is meant to be in third place. I don't think Gary's going to probably care about that one, because I think, knowing Gary personally, he'll probably be counting his lucky stars that he's missed that one. But as we were saying about the tribute to Aaron, we're just looking at some comments coming in. Damien Hibbs, good luck to everyone. You've all done him proud. Top jobs from all involved. This week has proven why we are a family. We've butchered, moan and argue with each other, but still come together and support each other when needed. From Rob Smith. Tracy was saying, let's have a great race for Aaron. And good evening to Chris, Fury's granddad, and many others. And that's what you want to see. Ledger's missed the start of the race. But we can get into a very quick grid order, so it's changed compared to what the video will show you because of one driver missing. The grid order then, the front row is as it says on the tin. It is that of Unsworth and Darren Yeo starting at the very front of the pack for this race. Gary Leach should have been lining up free alongside that of Viper. That is now Viper and Richard Beasley lining up in P3 and 4. P5 and 6 will then be Tobias Hoffer and Sky Schundelmeyer. Remember, everybody jumping up that one spot at the moment. P7 and 8 will be Skunky and Mike Matthews, before P9 and 10 will be Ben Ruck and that of Jamal Clouden. P11 and 12 was meant to be O'Reilly and Patrick Ledger. It's now going to be O'Reilly and Michael Harris. He gets bumped up 2 spots due to the fact that Ledger has missed the start of this race. Overtaker will then be in 13th spot, with Dan Davis going from 14th, and then it will be Tardock from Hoopert, Sylph, Friedman, Carlos and Gary Leach bringing up the rear. There is a poll out at the moment, and it's not to see who will win the race. We found out in the practice session that a crazy man likes his milk first in a cup of tea. 14 people have voted. Only one vote has gone the way of milk first. The other 13 are all water first. So we will end that poll there, and we'll get a poll out for the drivers.
Mate, it's like putting fruit on pizza. You know, it's just not right. But I know I'm in the minority of putting milk in first. But hey, you know, not every peg fits the slot.
100% then, as we're going to get this back out. Don't worry, we've got more Honda chat coming your way as well later on. There is plenty to talk about tonight in what has been an emotional week here at Simplay Motorsport. But Kelly, great to be in the comms box once again. Like you mentioned before we went off air, Map Panorama, the Bathurst 1000. We see the V8s come here. We've just had, about 3-4 weeks ago, we've just had the Bathurst 12 hour, the GT race around this track. Yeah. What a place to come.
12 hours. Imagine 12 hours around here, Matt. Scares me half to death, even on a sim rig. Just going up and down a few times, let alone doing 12 hours around it. It really is a walk on the wild side. Certainly I've found it that way. I've had a little bit of luck in the past on Project Cars round here, but certainly not on ACC. It is loose. The walls are close, and it is a real challenge here. A real challenge.
It is a real challenge here. The walls are close, and especially coming up and down the mountain. I want to be very specific to people in the chat tonight that understands when there is a blue flag situation tonight, as Will Freeman has actually stopped on the track down the back of the pack, when there is a blue flag tonight, you cannot lap after Skyline. The very top of the mountain, as you come to the chicane before you come downhill, you cannot lap a car down that mountain. You want to go racing? That is absolutely fine. You cannot lap a car down the mountain. That is going to be a no-go tonight.
And this is the only place we enforce this rule, and that's how crazy this place is. I think it's got to be after and we've got somebody off the track already on the formation lap there. Someone going very wide. O'Reilly, was it?
No, I think that's Michael Harris. It looked like it was a BMW on the grass. I'm not sure if I saw O'Reilly there, but definitely Michael Harris was on the grass. Will Friedman's caught back up and got into place, Kelly, as we're about to come through Murray's Corner for the end of the formation lap. And let's see what will happen in this race here. Hello everyone waving from North Carolina, says Swindle Matt. Chris, no different than pineapple ring with gammon. Matt Wright gives us a wave. A Mustang will win. A Mustang will win this race, says Rob Smith. And Matt Wright saying Matthews for the win. Oh, Gherkin's on a burger. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. But for round 7 this season, it's green and going. And it's tell you what, it's Darren Yeo who's got a bit of a blinding start coming around the outside of Unsworth. Viper's trying to go through the middle. Unsworth so late on the brakes, but manages to come back up the inside and take the lead of this one as Sky Schundelmeyer already moves up into P3. We've got the Bentley of Tobias Hoffer just behind Darren Yeo now as well, who Darren Yeo got a good getaway but was a bit slow through turn 1 on the brakes. He's lost out a couple of positions, and Tobias Hoffer here looks like he's about to have a run on Darren Yeo, but it'll be on the outside. Brakes a bit before Darren Yeo. Can the Bentley hanging around the outside here of the Ferrari of Darren Yeo then? Tobias Hoffer now having a look up the inside and towards turn 3 they come. Darren Yeo hangs on to that place, and there is a yellow flag in the background. That looks like it is the 77 car of Overtaker, who has had a big moment, Kelly. He's got huge damage.
Absolutely. Dan Davis as well, also slow going up the hill. He's had a moment as well. I was just about to say how clean things were, and it's into turn 2 that things usually start, and I didn't quite see what happened with Dan or with Overtaker, but we've got a few people have been caught out somehow.
They have indeed. Scott Unsworth is also in a wall, I'm noticing. As is Viper. There's huge
crash.
There's so many people off. Who's that? Sky Schundelmeyer is off. Dan Davis caught up in it again.
Gary Leach. There's so many at the top of the hill there, and that's an easy place to get one wheel up on the grass and you're in big trouble, and you go round, and maybe that's what happened. As Dan, I think, has got horrendous damage. As I said, Gary Leach caught up in that one. So many people. That was chaos at the top there.
The 114, I'm just trying to see who that is. That is Scott Unsworth as well, who's got the big damage with Overtaker. Dan's still got the yellow ring round his number on the track map, but it's Viper who leads from Darren Yeo. Darren Yeo, by the way, has been caught up in 5 out of 6 races at the start. Not today. Mike Matthews challenging the big Bentley. He's got a bit of damage, and now he's gone a little wiggle through that of the chicane there then, and that's allowed O'Reilly through. Jamal Cloudon's up to 6th place. He's now having a look on the back of Mike Matthews. Can't do anything there. Ben Rook's got damage. Show us house. I can't see a car but the front 2 that's not damaged here, Kelly.
Yeah, there is so much damage on so many cars. As I said, I'm looking through, and quite right, and so much damage to so many cars. Normally, Bathurst, because it's so tricky, usually brings on good driving and good clean driving, but there was chaos tonight.
There was chaos tonight. We didn't see what was happening at the top of the hill. And talking about chaos here, it's about to kick off. Honda versus Bentley. 2 of the older cars on the pro grid. The Honda's having a look up the inside of turn 2 on that of the Bentley, and gets the run, gets the position. Now Mike Matthews fancies a bit of a move on that of Tobias Hoffer round the outside of turn 3. Mike's backed out of that one. Pretty sensible there. But already Viper and Darren Yeo have got a good gap. And who's in the pit lane, Kelly?
In the pits, they've got Beasley, Skunky and Dan are all in the pits, and all have opted to repair their damage because the pit window is not open yet. So they're going to have to repair their damage, and they're going to have to stop again. This is big problems for these guys.
And they probably would have turned their tyre change off, their fuel off, to save that 25 seconds, as Mike's still having a look on the back of the Bentley here. Has a bit of a wiggle though coming down the hill. He's on the grass. He's had a moment. He's in the wall, and that bounces and spins around. We've got Cloudon with Ben Rook on the back of him. There's Hooper, as well, coming through at the moment, but Mike Mike Matthews his own mistake, and around he went. And I think we used to say that Mike used to spin as much as a Kylie Minogue record, I think is what you used to say back in the day. And he's proved it once again there. But at the minute, you have to say, look, Viper doing a great job. And Darren Yeo, P2 at the minute, he's right up there.
Absolutely, these guys done the sensible thing and they've broken away and got out of it. It's really, really lucky of Mike not to collect up a load of other cars at, where he spun, but he was lucky enough to be out of the way and they got past him. So that was a bit of good news. But they're coming round and still in the pits. Loads of guys still in the pits. Carlos still in the pits. Beasley, Skunky, Dan Unsworth, all still in the pits. Remember, Unsworth started from pole.
Unsworth did start from pole. We've got Freeman's on the back of one of the Ford Mustangs here. That is that of Sylph, who sets the fastest lap of the race. Just noticing, Kelly, Overtaker did not pit. He can barely turn the car, but is still going just so he can get that back into the pit lane when the pit lane opens. And that'll be in about 25 seconds. So for Overtaker there, not a bad strategy. He's been able to come around. We're seeing in the chat that Ben loves this track, says Chris. Well, he's on the back of Jamal Clouden at the moment, and it's Kieran O'Reilly who's trying to hunt down Darren Yeo, who's trying to hunt down Viper then. We've got a new timing screen where we can see some of the last lap times. Darren Yeo was 9/10 slower than O'Reilly on the last time round, but Tobias Hoffer lapping in the 206s at the minute. You can see who's got the damage, Kelly, because we've even got lap times down in the 207s.
Yeah, I'm just watching Overtaker, and you're quite right. He can't even get it down the straight, in a straight line. He's just gone into the wall, going down the Conrod Straight. It's Conrod Straight, isn't it? Towards the chase, and he's struggling just to get it down. I don't know if this was the right strategy or not, but we will find out, because Dan Davis is back on track, but now in 19th and a lap down.
He is a lap down, but I don't think. I think Dan's going to be looking at the Overtaker as his main goal here, because I don't think he's going to get anybody else in this race. I'm expecting a few people to be diving straight into the pit lane at the first opportunity here, as we're seeing that of Harris, Hoopert and Sylph all coming through the Forest Elbow bumper nose rear with each other. Then they've got the three in front as well of the Bentley of Tobias Hoffer, that of Jamal Clouden and Ben Ruck. There is Tobias Hoffer, Jamal Clouden and Ben Ruck, as the helicopter camera will pick up a better shot. Look, there is the front Bentley with the McLaren, with the Aston Martin, then the three behind. And look at these three. Sylph, Hooper having a look on Harris. Is Sylph having a look around the outside of him? Whoa, that was close, Kelly. Could have been contact.
Absolutely, I'm watching the same battle at the moment. These guys are, pushing the envelope, that's for sure. Sylph has a look up the inside of Hooper, gets it done into the last corner. Not a bad overtaking opportunity, that last corner, and he makes it stick. Darren Yeo is in the pits. He's the first of the front runners to come in the pits. Hoffler in the pits, Clouden in the pits. As you say, lots of them in there. Overtaker still in the pits, and Dan back in the pits taking his normal pit stop.
But this is the thing.
Skunky.
Yeah, so this is the thing for Dan. He's come in, but Overtaker's got that damage. So Dan at the moment will now should or would be on the closer rear end of Overtaker in this race at the moment. But we'll have to wait and see. Everybody else is back out. I do believe I can see that of Carlos out there and Scott Unsworth. They've both come back out the pits as well, but are going to have to re-pit here. What a fight this is, though. It's Viper from O'Reilly now with the fastest lap, from Ben Ruck, then Michael Harris, Sylph, Hoopert, Friedman, all in a bit of a train here. This is looking back on the rear of Sylph's car. You can just see that of Friedman. In fact, let's go further forward. This is Harris, who has a bit of a moment at the top of the mountain then, and you can see their Mustangs getting a little closer to the rear of that car as they drop downhill once again and flick it left, right, left, whichever way it needs to go. And this is the scary part of this circuit.
Yeah, I'm on board with Sky Schundelmeyer, who's right up the jacksie of Gary Leach, who's just been passed up the hill by Tardock in the Mustang. And as soon as Tardock got past Gary Leach, he started to pull away. The Mustang has got plenty of power around here, as we know, and was setting fastest times in practice. But Sky Schundelmeyer all over the back of Gary Leach as they head down the Conrod Straight once more, and Schundelmeyer's got him.
Yep, Schundelmeyer's got past Gary Leach as we See that Lexus, we know how good it was in a straight line last season. Will it be good? That Porsche got a bit of damage on the front, so that'll be hurting its aero, and the Porsche not the quickest in a straight line anyway. And here comes Gary. I just wonder what damage Gary might have, because Tordoc's bonnet is lifted, so Gary losing out to Tordoc, a real surprise. But Darren Yeo, lead pit runner from Jamal Clouden. Tobias Hoffer did get jumped by Clouden. Then it's Ledger. Mike Matthews now exiting the pit lane. Skunky's in the pits, and Dan Davis is now 17th place, and now Overtaker by the way, has only just left the pit lane. That is how long it's taken him.
Yep. He's just now coming out of the pits. He's going to come out in front of Carlos, who is further up the grid.
He is indeed. Darren.
No, he's down the grid. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
He is down the grid.
Stopped you, yeah.
He's down in 21st. He's still out on track. Still got time to pit as Will Friedman with damage to the front of his Porsche. Darren Yeo, the lead pit runner, let's not forget. Michael Harris, Hoopert, Tordoc and Schundelmeyer all in the pits. Daz was very much clear of these drivers. As Harris goes green, wait for that P to be removed next to his name. That's when he's off the pit limiter. Darren Yeo, though, comes through on that of Michael Harris. What about Jamal Clouden in the background? Harris and Hoopert now off the limiter. I think them to have jumped that of Jamal Clouden, and it looks like they have indeed.
They have, yes they have. Good strategy there. They're in front of Clouden as they come round. I'm sure Clouden would have been not happy to see them pull out in front of him.
Makes me wonder if Clouden repaired damage there. Let's go back to Silf, who's gaining on the back of Ben Rook. Then down the mountain they come once again. Skunky still in pit lane. Overtaker down in 19th. Dan and Mike Matthews 16th as Silf there, just clipping the outside wall. You see Mike in the background. That is Mike Matthews, who dropped it all on his own coming down the hill. This is the closest fight on circuit at the minute. Maybe Hoopert on Harris is a little bit closer as we enter the halfway stage of the race. 5 minutes left of the pit window. Sorry, Kelly.
No, it doesn't matter. You're right, that's the closest battle. We've got Tardoc is trying to no, my timing screen's just updated. Tardoc's right on the back of Ledger, and trying to look for a way past as they come up and down the mountain. Oh, Tardoc just rubbing the wall, absolutely on the rag.
And you can see he's got a lot of damage, Kelly, because that bonnet is lifted, bouncing off the wall again. So Tardoc struggling a little bit here. Skunky's done his pit stop. We have... no, we haven't lost a driver, apologies.
No, Sky Schundelmeyer as well, hanging the back end of that Porsche out at the top of the mountain. It's treacherous at the top of the mountain there, isn't it, Matt? You put one wheel on that grass and it's game over.
Well, Dan shouted at me in testing today because of how slippy the circuit is. We're back on with Hoopert, who's got that Mustang grunt. Down the Conrad straight they come towards the chase. Hoopert going to be on the outside, the little left-hand kink. We've seen Kelly Davis had a few dramas or two there with Kieran Argent in the past, and Hoopert right round the outside on Michael Harris. No dramas this time. Mustang gets past that of the BMW. He's now going to head after Darren Yeo with Ben Rook in the pit. Let's not forget, Ben was on the back of Jamal Clouden here, so this could be crucial for Ben to have a good stop, see if he does his damage. I think Ben's going to be jumped here. Ben's now released. Is he going to be off the limiter by the time these come to turn one? I don't think he is. I think Ben has been jumped by Clouden and the two in front. Here comes Ben right out the pit lane. Here come the leaders. Is Ben going to get up to speed? He's going to get a bit of slipstream from Hoopert as Hoopert comes onto the racing line. You've got Clouden and Harris and fighting each other. Ben's now side by side with this and Jamal Clouden. It is all tight as they come out to the pit lane at the minute, heading down towards turn number 2. That of Quarry Bend. Up the mountain straight. Ben around the outside of Jamal Clouden, and Clouden gets the move done as Ben has to back out of that one.
Yes, and Sky Schundelmeyer and Tardoc been going at it for half a lap now. They've touched doors. Schundelmeyer was faster on the straights. There's definitely damage on Tardoc's Mustang, because that Porsche is quicker on the straights than Tardoc's Mustang, and we don't see that too often. Dan was complaining that he was giving away about 10 miles an hour to the Mustangs, but Schundelmeyer is definitely with the better car underneath him at the moment. It's really fighting Tardoc for that position, and as I said, they have touched already.
They have touched already. Tordoc's flirted with the walls a few times as well, as this is on board with that of Sky Schundelmeyer. Then he just brushes the wall there as they come up over the mountain, now towards that of Skyline at the moment. Schundelmeyer has a little look. Tardoc just slightly offline a bit. Now's really the time that you've got to follow each other through. Down through Skyline, down the dipper, in towards the Forest Elbow you're going to come. And this could be where Sky could set him up, down the Conrad straight. A long straight here, Kelly, for Sky to get the move done.
Yep, I think that's his best bet. I certainly wouldn't try it down the hill. It's just too risky. Or down the downside of the mountain. This is his opportunity. The Porsche has the legs on top of that Mustang at the moment. He's right in his slip. It's very close. He goes to the inside as they come along to the chase. They're side by side. The Mustang definitely a bit tardy in a straight line. Schundermeyer's got it done, but Tardot goes up the inside. Definitely brave on the brakes. Schundermeyer gives him plenty of space. Nice and clean as they came through there, and looks like Schundermeyer's got the job done. Great
move from Schundermeyer as we're seeing Silf and that of O'Reilly have both jumped Darren Yeo in the pits then. Gary Leach still in the pit lane now. So Darren Yeo's been jumped by O'Reilly and Silf in the pit, and Darren Yeo's got a bit of a train forming behind him of Hoopert. Bit of a gap back to Harris as Jamal Clouden had a look in the background on Michael Harris there, and Ben's with Jamal Clouden as well. So a few cars, I wonder if a few cars have maybe repaired a bit of damage or not here as to why they've jumped so many. In Clouden again having another little look there, and Jamal Clouden, well, let's see what happens, because he's got Ben on the back of him. Richard Beasley has returned to the pit lane. Gary Leach still in, Skunky still in the pits as well. So an interesting one to see here. Race leader though, Viper yet to pit. He's got to come in this lap, Kelly. He will not make another lap, and he pulls into the pit lane now. That was a late call.
Yeah, Darren Daz is just absolutely fighting for his life as Hoopert is all over. Oh, Daz has a moment as they come down, start to come down the mountain, lost it under braking, but managed to gather it all up. This has dragged in the rest of the pack. There's 5 of them now going for the same position. Daz is really struggling. He's driving the wheels off this, what is he, Ferrari?
Yeah, no, he's in the Ferrari.
Driving the wheels off this Ferrari and bouncing it off a few walls as well. That was a sketchy run through the mountain. But you've got Hoopert breathing down the back of his neck, and with the power advantage. Watch him now as he gets close. He looks one way, he looks the other, going to try to go for the inside line, and I think he might get it done as they get towards the chase.
Yeah.
Oh no, Daz stays with him. They're side by side through the chase, and it's who's better on the brakes. Daz got the inside line, but Hoopert goes deep, and Harris is going to have a go now. I think Daz is going to get absolutely mugged now.
Well, Daz will have the inside line in towards Murray's corner as Harris and Daz just rub a little bit now. Clouden's coming round the outside, and Clouden and Daz, I think, make contact as well. This could allow Ben to have a run, but Daz loses out on the 2 positions there. And like you said, he was just struggling as Viper's done his pit stop. Will Friedman's done his pit stop, and out of the pits, Will Friedman might come into this fight. Viper is long gone up the road. There's Will Friedman ahead of Darren Yeo now. Did Will Friedman repair his damage? That's the question. And now we're seeing Clouden on the side by side with this of Darren Yeo. It's McLaren versus Ferrari down the mountain straight towards Quarry Bend. Jamal Clouden will have that inside line. The Ferrari just a little better in a straight line, you see there, and Daz manages to hold that position and hold station for now, but he's also lost out to Friedman, and Darren Yeo down in 7th place. So good result still for Darren Yeo at the minute. He's got to keep his call there. Skunky still in that pit lane. He's going to have to come out here.
Unfortunately, I think Daz is really starting to struggle. I don't know if he's carrying some damage now from the couple of grazes off the wall, but he does really seem to be struggling. Yes, it's a good result in 7th, but starting so far up, I'd be disappointed.
Oh, he's in the wall again.
Yeah, he's struggling at the top of the hill there, and he's clipped that wall a few times. He looked a bit loose through there, and Clouden again is all over him, and Ben just, Daz again just loses the back end under braking, hops over the curb, puts it all back together as they start rolling down the mountain on the downside again. But Daz get a little bit of breathing space. I don't know if Clouden had a bit of a moment there that he had to collect up himself, but yeah, poor old Daz is struggling, that's for sure.
He'll be glad that there will only be 2 laps left after this at the moment, and that depends on how long it takes for Viper to get to line, because Viper's last lap was a 2:05.2. At the minute, 2:50 left. He's coming to the final corner, so there will probably be 2 laps remaining in this race. O'Reilly's only 2 seconds off the back of Viper. O'Reilly's had a cracking race here. He's kept out the carnage in this one. I believe that is going to be a retirement for Skunky, and he's not completed the 3/4 distance. 4 points, so that'll be a no-point score. And again, I tell you what, we've said, Kelly, the last couple of weeks that Viper and Skunky need to kickstart their season. It's not gone that way for Skunky in this first race, but at the moment, Viper looking like he's good value for money. Who's that moving out the way? That is P18 of Scott Unsworth as Clouden looks to the inside of Darren Yeo.
Absolutely, and yes, Darren's still holding off Clouden and Ben Rook still just a watching brief behind these two, waiting for maybe for them to clout each other. Yeah, but poor old Skunky, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. He's had a terrible start to the season. Viper having a better night though at the moment.
Yeah, Viper's had a good start to his night at the moment in this one then, as we're coming up with 2 laps to go. We've got a couple of fights just developing on the circuit. We've got Will Friedman on the back of Michael Harris, look, coming up and over the brow of the mountain. We've got Darren Yeo defending from Clouden with Ben Rook still there in the background. We've got Tobias Hopper holding off that of Patrick Ledger, and then the rest of them really are so spaced out, it's unreal. Where's Tardok? He's coming up the mountain now. Where's Mike Matthews? Final corner, so not really in this one is Mike.
No, Tardok's been dropped by Schundelmeyer as well.
Clouden's in a wall! Clouden is in a wall. Darren Yeo is still going ahead of Ben, so I'm not sure what has happened to Jamal Clouden. He cannot move at the moment. He's thinking about it now but can't, because the 209 can't quite see who the 209 has managed to go, and we've got a fight for the lead here, Kelly. O'Reilly's within half a second of Viper.
Yes, indeed, and Clouden's still trying to turn his car around, and luckily there's nothing coming up the hill, because that could have been a catastrophic accident. It's the top of the hill again. Maybe he got a wheel up on the grass. As I said, that is treacherous. You don't. There's no second chances with that at all.
There's not. You go on that grass and it will just spit you out into the wall. It is a nightmare of a corner then, as we're on to the final lap of the race. And for Viper now, for the first time in this race, he's being put on the back foot, because O'Reilly, let's not forget, who has started to take some good results in that Honda. What was it last week? I think he got a couple of he was on the podium, P2 last week, and he had a couple of good GT4 wins last week as well. He started to look pretty good in the Honda. Looks like that Honda's starting to come to him a bit more, Kelly, and
absolutely.
This is now where O'Reilly can bounce.
Yeah, we've already talked about Hondas, and I'm sure we're going to at some point. But don't count out Stealth. He's not that far behind, and he is the quickest man at the moment. He holds the fastest lap, and he is quick as. If these two start tripping over each other, which Viper has a bit of a moment, O'Reilly and Viper, they touch.
Both into the wall.
They're rubbing doors. Look, Stealth has made up like a couple of seconds, and he is back on this fight. This race isn't done yet. Isn't done by a long shot. This is going to be a race all the way to the flag, and Viper has got to keep himself together.
Viper has got to keep himself together. O'Reilly is now the one who's watching his mirrors maybe a little bit more, as both of them bounced off the wall. O'Reilly gets it horribly wrong under braking. So easy to see down through the dipper they come. Now towards Forest Elbow. This bit of damage maybe on the Honda could be exactly what Viper needed to maybe win this race. O'Reilly's gone from being offence to defence here through Forest Elbow. There you go. We said the Porsche's down on power. The Honda's down on power. It's got front end damage, and Sylph has just already pulled out, breezed past him. I mean, hey,
annihilated him.
It's still going to be a cracking result for the little Honda, but without that mistake at the top of the hill, Kelly, maybe that wouldn't have happened.
Absolutely. If Viper and O'Reilly weren't tripping over each other, Stealth might not have got close enough, but he did, and he has, and he breezed past him on the Conrod straight. O'Reilly dropping back a little bit now. He's settled in for that third place, but it's going to be Viper. It is going to be Viper who rounds Murray's corner, and for the first time in Simplay Motorsport history, Viper will take a race win. Sylph will come across the line for P2 with O'Reilly in third place. Hupert is going to cross the line for fourth. A great result for him in this one. Michael Harris, P5, not bad from him either. Will Friedman will take a P6 on his return to GT3s here. Darren Yeo, 7th, good result with Ben Rook in 8th. Tobias Hoffer fending off Sky Schundelmeyer at the moment here, Kelly, coming into that final corner so far. This could be an interesting one to keep our eyes on as it develops, and through the final corner, who's going to get to the line? Does the Bentley just have enough in a straight line over Schundelmeyer? Just enough by 1/10 of a second. Tardok P11. Patrick Ledger's going to come through for P12. What a race what a race to forget for Patrick Ledger, I suppose, because he was up the order a little bit. We then have to wait a little bit of time for Jamal Clouden, who is down the order as well. Yeah, some big names towards the back. Clouden, Mike Matthews, Gary Leach, Dan Davis, Overtaker, all towards the back. They're all going to be very, very disappointed with that.
Yeah, very, very disappointed indeed to see this one. I didn't really see what happened to Overtaker. That all happened at the start for him that got Dan caught up in it. Then there was the dramas at the top of the hill that had a few people caught out there. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes peeled on for the rest of the night. Mike Matthews crosses the line P14. We're on board now with Overtaker, who's going to cross the line in that 17th place. I believe then we've got Unsworth and Beasley, who are still to finish at the moment in this one as Overtaker rounds that final corner. He had a big lot of damage and he played a ballsy strategy there. Did Overtaker to try and get to the very end the very beginning of the pit window before it opened. Ballsy move from him, didn't pay out how he wanted it to, but
no,
he'll know for next time.
Something.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He did indeed.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll try and find some of the gossip and try and work out what happened at the top of the hill. There was an awful lot of cars in that damage, so we'll try and find out.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kelly, before we go to the intermission screen, why don't we take a little quick look, because I've got the replay. I can get the replay here.
Okay.
And if we go back to the start of the race, and I just take this back a little bit, we can maybe, hopefully before it resets, figure out what happened at the start of this race. Right, so let's go to the helicopter camera.
Unfortunately, I can't see this in real time because things don't work like that.
No, and then let's go forward and find Overtaker. It was all clean up front. Right, we're on board with Overtaker. So what happened is, so Overtaker's got the inside line coming down towards out of turn 2. He's got I believe that's Skunky on his outside. Oh, and he just kind of squeezes Skunky, then it gets turned across, and that catches out Will Friedman, and we can't see the other incident because the thing's reset, but we just managed to see what happened there. We will take a quick short break though and be back in just a moment. We're clear.
Okay. Just trying to see on the stream now what you were talking about. So Overtaker, you were. Overtaker got clipped, didn't he?
Yeah, I felt Taker comes across a little bit, squeezes Skunky, and then just misjudges where Skunky was.
But that wasn't a big incident at the top of the hill. That was just
that's turn 1 where Dan got first caught out by. Right, I'm going to run to the toilet, dude.
Yeah, me too. Okay, I'm back.
Alright, I'm just going to go and ask Dan what happened at turn 2. At the top of the hill, sorry.
Yeah, I'll join you. Where will he be?
He's in the team Discord, which I don't think you're in.
Oh, alright, okay, don't matter.
Back in 2.
Okay.
I think this explains what happened to Dan at the top of the mountain. Mike's in the party. Yeah, tease. Do it. Do as you tell him to do as you're told today, Mike, because he shouted at me earlier in testing. What happened at the top of the mountain? People are dumb. Take on replay. Take look like he squeezes Skunky and then gets spun around. Ben, what happened to Clouden? So he dropped it on his own then. Fair enough. Fair enough. Brilliant. I'm sure Daz would have loved that. Yeah, I think something needs to be done, doesn't it?
It's not just Pro, we've had incidents with Pro-Am and GT4. I say we give it one more shot at Silverstone, and if we have another major again, we ditch them for the rest of the season and put like a short qualifying session in, 10-minute session, something like that.
I got 5 minutes.
But you get the same problem, you get a mixed grid. What's the point?
We're just going to get run away. We're just going to get the Mustangs on pole every week and piss off into distance.
Well, what else are we going to do?
I don't know.
There's nothing we can do.
What's the 5-minute quali like in GT4?
Normally all right. Normally all right. It goes well. You're not getting this. Yeah, I agree. This history thing doesn't work, by the way. Oh, hang on. Yeah. Where?
If people just get through the first lap without being dumb and get into a file, we'd be okay.
Yeah.
Or we just make it like circuits like this in Spa. We say, right, we're not doing a reverse grid, you've got 5-minute quality instead. Whereas on circuits like Silverstone, we could do a reverse grid.
Fucking Jesus. Fucking hell. Race positions. That's what
Why won't you turn?
I want to print screen that. Just ignore the message I'm sending you, Mike, on Discord. Yeah, no, it's just a screenshot so I can open a ticket on Skunky's retirement. Right. Alright, boys. We'll have a chat after. All sorts. We'll have a think par head together. Alright, catch you later. Best luck.
What did Dan have to say?
Top of the hill, there was just cars everywhere as he comes through. Turn 2, he got hit by a load of people. Clouden dropped it on his own and nearly took Daz out at the top of the hill.
Right.
And Dan thinks we need to get rid of reverse grids, which...
Yeah, he's saying that on Discord.
Which, as much as I see his point, we're then just going to get Dan being one of them who's then just going to complain that the Mustangs are on pole every week and pissing off with race wins every week.
Yeah, well...
You know...
Makes for a good show.
The annoying thing
Reverse
is,
grid.
the irritating thing is, Kelly, is how many times, you know, if that is Taker's fault, if Taker squeezes Skunky there, and that is Taker's fault, why is an experienced driver like Taker squeezing somebody on a track like this?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're having. I don't know if you've been on Discord, but they're having a bit of a ding dong. Viper and O'Reilly, you know. Viper saying shit happens, and they all should be a little bit more. I've said it before, it's sim racers, isn't it? You know.
Yeah,
It's tracks like this that pay big consequences for this kind of shit, and people get upset. But this is what happens every week, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You got Sky Schundelmeyer here saying reverse grid does no good for anybody except the show.
Except the show, and except, you know, Viper, who may not win a race all season. Except you, Sky, who may never win a race or get a podium all season.
Yeah.
The stupid thing is reverse grids don't work. Why? Look at yourselves for once. Stop blaming everybody else and look at, if you're involved in the incident every fucking week, have a look at yourself a minute.
Yeah.
If reverse grids grow, right, and this is especially for Pro-Am, Benedict Varga last night would never win a race in Pro-Am, and John Gooday would have pissed off and won it with 2 poles and 2 wins and 2 fastest laps.
Yeah.
Because he's the quickest guy on this track last night. Fact.
Whoa. Yeah, no. Reverse grids cannot go. Absolutely not. This season, for sure.
Oh, Dan's on about if it don't work at Silverstone, getting rid of him.
Oh, no. I totally disagree with that. Not that I've got any influence on it whatsoever. But hey, I'm hoping to rock up at Imola on the front of the grid.
No, if you knew, you start at the back.
What?
Which would mean then for whatever race you do after, you'd be by the front.
That would be for Watkins then.
So you'd be at the front.
I can live with that. I don't think it should change. I just think this is was all right for the other races, isn't it?
We've had dramas all season with reverse grid races in some form or another.
Well, as I said, it's good for the show.
I think it's good. It's not just good for the show. It's good for people like yourself who may only get a win or a podium through a reverse grid.
Yeah.
You know, especially you look at the golfing class in Pro-Am. Pro, we've seen, can all be within a second of each other between the top 10 or 11 or 14, whatever. Anybody could win that race. Pro-Am, where there's 5 seconds from DJ Phil at the back to John at the front, DJ Phil will not win that race. Could he win a 20-minute sprint race? Possibly. DJ Phil couldn't. You know, someone like yourself, who may be 4 seconds slower than John, could win a reverse grid race.
Absolutely.
Viper's done shit all season. Wins tonight.
Yeah.
Why?
Reverse grid.
You know.
Right. Qualifying started.
Yeah, I'm not going to go live till they've gone round a bit because it's a long outlap. We have too many people pull out at the end of Pro in a championship season because they can't win it.
Yeah.
So if you get rid of reverse grids, though, Kelly, and it's still Hoop at Tardok at the front every week, you're just going to get people pulling out.
I'm for leaving it as it is.
Yeah,
I think it should stay as it is.
Let's see what happens here with the qualifying, where the quick guys will be at the front.
Well, I was going to say, let's see what happens at the start of this race.
Right, 5-4. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to Simplay Motorsport here for round 8 of the season. We have just started qualifying for this second race. We're on board with Sylph at the moment, who will be starting the first flying lap. A couple of guys in the pits who can come out. That's Jamal Clouden exiting the pits now. He's going to have to be wary of the fast traffic coming through. That's not the space where Jamal would have wanted to come out here in this lap. And maybe cause himself a few problems or two. He's going to have to slow right down to allow these cars through, unless he can keep up the pace from the car behind him. But Sylph's the one who leads us away. Championship order then going into it. Get the right screen up. Championship order going into this second race. Sylph leads away by 18 points from Hooper. Tordok's 42 behind. O'Reilly's now up to 4th, 65 behind. Dan Davis is 5th, 66 behind. Then it's Michael Harris. He's 70 off the back. Overtaker 7th. He's 73 off the back. Patrick Ledger. Then Ben Rook, Jamal Cloud and Mike Matthews, with Matt Wright, Viper, Schundelmeyer, Hoffer, Skunky, Yo, Leach, Beasley, McGowan, O'Brien, Unsworth, Will Friedman, Ethan Coe, Carlos, Joe Bates, and then Dan Yako, Richie, Newman, Colin, Croyce and Pocket still yet to score. In terms of Constructors' Championship, it is MSA Racing 115 points clear of Team Audio Sport, with Simplay Racing sitting in 3rd ahead of Greasy Bandits. Team FPR are P5 with Old School Racers 6th, Quantum Motorsport 7th, Team SPR 8th, Scuderia Tempesta 9th, Effect Motorsport 10th, and Red Rum Racing down the back of the order. In terms of that Manufacturers' Championship, McLaren 21 points clear of Porsche, but it's on the Thursday night where Ferraris seem to score a few points and come back into this equation, so we'll see what happens at the end. Tobias Hoffer will make his 50th race start in this one, and Kelly, there's been a few talking points off air already.
There has been a few talking points off air, you're quite right, and talking about the chaos in race 1, and a few unhappy people, and a few unhappy people about how the way that the reverse grid works. So as I said, some unhappy people.
There are some unhappy people as Hooper leads from Sylph across the line. Here comes Overtaker, had a poor race 1 with damage. He's a second off the pace. Viper goes up into second place. He looks like he's got some pace here tonight. What about Carlos? What can he do as he comes to the line now? Only it doesn't set a valid lap time. We're going to then see 34 of Harris move up the order. Sky Schundelmeyer, what can he do at the moment then? He was involved in a couple of fights in that race. He was in the thick of a few good battles in race 1. Towards the line he comes in his Porsche, goes P6.
Absolutely. I'd like to say hi to some of the people in the chat. I think we feel like we've ignored them this evening. Good evening to Rob Smith, my fellow countryman here in Cornwall, Matt Wright and Dean Wasocki. Good to hear from you, Dean, a Simplay veteran. And who else got? Peaceful Explosion, we know is Mike Matthews. He'll be busy, back on track. Tibbs in there as well. Loads of you. Keep the comments coming. We'll try to read some of them out. It was a bit of a chaotic first race. And the whole season's been a bit like that. Been some great action, and we haven't been able to chit chat as much as we would probably like. We
genuinely haven't, have we? The racing has been fantastic. As Dean says, nice to see some racing. It's good to see you back in the chat, Dean. At the minute, Dan didn't set a valid lap there. What about Jamal Clouden next? Who's currently Jamal's on an out lap. He's clearly warming the tyres up there with 9 minutes to go. It's O'Reilly who's 0.02 of a second quicker than Hobart, and it's Tordok who's 34,000 off the back, so very close between the top 3 as the 114 is now going to come to line. That could be Unsworth on his first lap. But the talking points, Kelly, again about the race starts, it seems to be the biggest talking point every single week at the moment. As Rob Smith saying, grid orders don't cause accidents, drivers cause accidents, and I could not agree with that comment more.
And we've just lost the grid.
We've just lost the grid. I think we've just lost Kelly is more the question there. I think Kelly has had a bit of a moment internet-wise, so hopefully we can get Kelly back in the box. And as we're all waiting Overtaker to come to the line, there goes Kelly from the network as Overtaker moves up into P4. The 200 will be next. That is that of Tardok towards the line. He goes provisional pole by 0.7 of a second, 34. Who is that coming towards the line? We're going to miss that one, so let's jump to the 24. That was Harris towards the line. We're going to jump to Sky Schundelmeyer instead before going down to the Bentley currently of Tobias Hoffer in this one. Like the reverse order should do it in F1, says Chris. I felt a bit ignored. Just kidding, says Tracy. Apologies, Tracy. We have tried to read as many comments all season, to be fair. The racing has been absolutely frantic and we just haven't had time to read the comments, but we'll try our best in this second race. Hopefully Kelly can get back in. Here comes Ben Ruck, moves up to P9 as 17. That is Richard Beasley towards a line now. He stays in P12. What about the 74? That is the Honda of O'Reilly. Sky Schundelmeyer up in second, down to third as Kieran O'Reilly goes pole by a tenth of a second. Darren Yo next on a lap time as Kelly now leaves the party. Good evening to Lexi in the chat. Our Pro-Am commentator did very well last night. It was great to hear Lexi on the comms. Daz stays P13. We are awaiting car 36 of that of Jamal Clouden coming through the pack at the moment. He's coming towards the final couple of corners here. Clouden to the line, goes only P11 at the moment. Not the best lap time from him there. The 1:14 is that of Unsworth, who hasn't set a lap time at the moment. Dean Wasaki might make a comeback next season, says Dean. Lexi, I was rusty AF. I thought it sounded good, Lexi. To be fair, I thought it was a very good job there. Then 4-4-3 of Sylph coming into the final corner. Yellow flag, that's Harris returning back to the pit lane at the moment. And Sylph goes up into P3. Very good lap time from him there. Where's Overtaker? Currently sat in P6. That's going to be the end of that lap, though, as he bounces off the wall. Viper next to the line. Here we go towards the front. He goes P5 for that of the Ferrari. The 442 of Carlos coming towards the line now. Carlos goes up into P4. The 11 of Mike Matthews. It says he's on an invalid lap time. What will it be? Remember, if you like what you see here at Simplay Motorsport, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new and hit the bell to be notified. Remember, we are racing this week for our dear friend Aaron Myers, who sadly passed away over the weekend. Aaron, we're thinking of you. We miss you. It's been an absolutely emotional week for all drivers, all staff at Simplay Motorsport to lose one of our own. So this week is all in honour of Aaron Myers, aka Who Darren in the Discord chat and everything. So this is going to be an interesting one. Don't get any ideas from what comment. Monkey Boy, I'm not quite sure what you're on about there. Right, as we go back down the order, 36 is on a valid lap. We'll go back down to Jamal Clouden, but please hit that likes button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. This is all for Aaron Myers, who sadly passed away over the weekend. So Dean Wasaki might make a comeback next season. We've got Lexi in the commentary box. A lot of drivers on about maybe changing cars. Kelly has disappeared, Benedict, so I'm not sure where Kelly's gone. Tip saying, I'd say combination of lack of awareness and some lack of patience from others. Again, Tips, I could not agree with that comment anymore. I think it is a case of the drivers needing to be more aware. Jamal Clouden moves up into P9 and he pulls the car over as O'Reilly's going to start a fresh lap. And I believe, who is that near the 441 of Hoopert? I can't quite tell. So we'll wait for the car to come around and see who it is. It is the Ferrari. That could be the 17 of Richard Beasley. It's not Richard Beasley, so not sure who that is, but the 208 is coming through. Look for the 208. Will Friedman moves up into P7. Great to have Will Friedman back out on the grid in GT3s. This is going to be interesting as he's gone to get a pasty. Hopefully it's against us one, as Lexi saying, hopefully I won't double DNF at Silverstone. I'm sure you won't in the GT4s. Damien Hibbs, Lexi, you and the rest of the commentary team have done amazing. In a tough week for Simplay Motorsport, you have done Aaron all proud. We hope we have done Aaron proud. Hibbs, it has been our honour. And we do have Sticky back in the commentary box. And did you get stuck there?
I don't know what happened, mate, to be honest with you. Kind of PlayStation-y stuff. I had internet connection, but... Yeah, don't know what happened. I'm still trying to get into the lobby to the action, but I'm back in the party, so that's a start.
He's back in the party, so he's back with us. It's currently O'Reilly. Oh no, it's not O'Reilly anymore. It is, sorry, O'Reilly. Still on that provisional pole. Car number 9, that is Patrick Ledger, who is next towards the line. Remember, once again, this is why we are running the black livery or black or pink livery tonight in honour of that of
Yes, indeed.
Aaron Myers in what has been a tough week here at Simplay Motorsport for everybody involved. Darren Yeo coming around the final corner towards the line. He crosses it now, stays 17th place. Next car will be Schundelmeyer. It says he's on an invalid lap. Let's see. Good qualifying at the minute for Sky Schundelmeyer. Really top qualifying. Currently sat in P6. No improvement there for him. Car 17 of Richard Beasley. What will he be able to do at the moment? He could do with jumping up the order a little bit. Are we back in, Kelly? Yes, we are.
I believe we are, yes. I'm back in. I'm just getting myself comfortable again and turning the volume down on my laptop because I was trying to listen in while I was trying to get back in. So lots of chat going on now in the comments. Thanks for that. We love the chat. Yes, I'm back. Kelly's not a bit quiet. He wasn't here, Matt. So, but I'm back. And just in time because we've got 3 minutes of qualifying left, and O'Reilly doing a cracking job in that little Honda, isn't he?
I tell you what, hey, he's got it singing, hasn't he? Speaking of the Honda NSX, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a couple on the British GT grid this year, and speaking of Hondas, there's a couple coming back to the British Touring Car Championship, which, in all fairness, let's be honest, taking the joke of Honda aside, it felt wrong not seeing a Honda on the British Touring Car grid last season, if you ask me. And it's going to feel the same if Astra's not there this year.
They have been in the British Touring Car. You know, there's been Hondas on the grid for as long as I can remember, to be honest. So yes, it does seem weird without one there. And I actually had a Honda Civic in my yard at work today. Yes, I did.
And you didn't send me a picture?
No, it was a diesel one, a Type D, so for dull. So all the grass is looking lovely around the workshop now.
Dull. Oh, brilliant. Here we go. I've just turned Kelly's audio up, Swindle Max. Hopefully that's a bit better on Kelly's end. I have done that for Kelly. As here comes Patrick Ledger down in 16th place at the moment. It proves finds for attempts. Dan Davis, I've only just noticed 15th place in qualifying at the moment. He has struggled. Track temp 43 degrees. It is a warm one out there, hot, Kelly, to say the least. It's 34 degrees. I've got my budgie smugglers on as they wear down under, and it is a warm one.
That's where you normally wear them, down under. Instead of on your head.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it is a warm one here in Oz, and I'm hoping to go back that end of the world. I am going back that end of the world at Christmas, where it'll be probably about as hot as that. So
there we go.
In New Zealand. So I don't know if I'm looking forward to that or not. That kind of temperature. Imagine 43 degrees, let alone trying to wrestle a car up and down this this mountain.
You got to be mad or stupid, haven't you, really, to do this? 4-3
or both,
or both. Hooper's got a yellow flag. He's possibly just creating himself a bit of a gap to Darren Yeo. He will get to the line with 43 seconds left on the clock here. In fact, a few of these drivers coming towards the end of the lap. Dan, I think, will just miss out. I think Mike may miss out as well as Tordok. One person who isn't going to miss out is this man Self. Does he improve on his lap time? 2 tenths to the pole. No improvement this time round. Stays P4. What about the 77 of Overtaker? 7 tenths off the pole at the moment. Like Alexa Marshall saying in the chat, our Pro-Am commentator, it is 3 degrees hotter than yesterday on the track temperature. And this is only midday. We've got the race to come, which will be even hotter. Dan will get to the line to set one more lap. Does he improve this time around? He does. He goes P5. So Dan Davis put in the lap. He's probably wrung the neck out of that car to get that lap on the board. Car 21, as there goes Tordok. That'll be his lap done. He's had a moment into the wall. Tobias Hoffer done down in 18th place. Skunky didn't stop. We are missing a driver. I believe we are missing Unsworth in this qualifying session. Here comes Patrick Ledger, though, towards the end of the of his qualifying. Does he improve? Stays P16. What about the 208 Will Friedman? Currently P9 out there at the moment. He bails to the pit lane. Let's find the next person who's on a lap. That is the 74 of Poleman by 800ths of a second. That of Kieran O'Reilly at this moment. What a lap. What a moment this could be. O'Reilly took pole last week at Indianapolis, if you remember, in the cool, cold morning temperatures in Indy. We're now in the red hot scorching conditions here at Bathurst, and Kieran O'Reilly, he's making this Honda sing. Can it be pole? He improves and finds a little bit more time, and that could be what saves O'Reilly from losing out here. Jamal Clouden down in 12th place. He's got a bit of work to do. Can he get this car any higher than P12? He does. P7 goes ahead of his teammate Overtaker. Darren Yeo finishing a lap here. What will his lap time be? It says he's on an invalid one. Let's just keep our eyes if there is an improvement. Down in 17th, improves by a couple of hundredths. The 4.33 now of Sylph, 3.5 tenths off the pole. Kelly needs a big jump here.
Yes,
Hoopert's done. Apologies.
Dan, I'm on board with Dan. Dan wringing the absolute neck out of this Porsche. He's climbed all over the curves on the way up and down the mountain, and he's now coming into the final sector, the last little short straight before the last left-hand 90-degree turn. Can he do anything more with it? I would be surprised. It's a big ask to get 6 tenths, but Dan, if anybody can, Dan normally can. He comes around the corner, he comes across the line, he goes quicker. And he goes 5th. He does take a little. He took a 10th out of that.
Found a 10th and a half in that one, but 5th place. And like you say, Kelly, Dan has probably wrung the neck out of that car in this one then. But it's Kieran O'Reilly, back-to-back pole positions. Ben Rook's down in 11th. If you're wondering why I'm saying them in a random order, I'm putting them on the spreadsheet that we input them to. Michael Harris 13th, Richard Beasley's teammates 14th place. Skunky didn't qualify. He's down in 20th as we don't have Unsworth in here. Viper Race 1 winner. He will start from 12th. Tobias Hoffer in the Bentley will go from 18th place in this one. Sky Schundelmeyer, very good qualifier for Sky Schundelmeyer there in the top 10. Good stuff from him. Gary Leach and Alexis 19th. Not the season for Gary Leach at all. And is that man in threat of maybe being relegated into the Pro-Am category? Maybe. How the mighty have fallen here. Mike Matthews down in 15th. Not a great qualifying from him. His teammate on pole position, as we know. Jamal Clouden P7. Overtaker, his teammate will go from 8th. Not bad from Clouden. Left it late, but he's not qualified particularly well this season. That is his second highest grid start in qualifying. P6 was his best at Spa in week 2. Patrick Ledger will go from P16. Will Friedman just rounding out the top 10 there. Next person we get is Carlos, who will go from 6th. Tardok will go from 3rd. Sylph will go from 4th. And Hoopert will go from 2nd. And Kelly, last week it was Hoopert, O'Reilly, Sylph fighting for the win. After O'Reilly took pole, the top 4 tonight, because you've got to include Tardok, who wasn't here last week. O'Reilly, Hoopert, Tardok, Sylph.
Yep, Tardok is no longer drinking pina coladas in wherever he was. Portugal, was it?
Something like that,
yeah. Something like he's actually back here now, and he's going to be in this fight. It's going to be an interesting one, that's for certain sure. Just in the chat, Ben Vargas saying my secret to dealing with hot temperatures is to drive shirtless. Shouldn't have said that out loud. Well, I've kind of said it out loud to everybody now. The FIA might have had something to say about driving shirtless, but hey, each their own.
Each their own. Do you want a statistic?
W-Series would be nice.
Do you want a statistic?
Yes, please. I think we need one now.
Viper won the first race. That is Ferrari's first win of the season, stopping a bit of a Ford dominance. The only other race win was Nissan of Matt Wright back at Spa. That was Ferrari's 43rd race win, and that pole position for Honda / Acura, based on the Project Cars 2 days, was its 17th pole position there then. BMW in race 1 made it to 1,000 race starts here at Simplay Motorsport. In GT3 and GT4 categories, 1,000 race starts. Lamborghini's not far behind it, won't get it tonight though, so it's going to be an interesting one. As we know, that was Viper's very first race win, and that is now O'Reilly's 12th pole position, which puts him tied with Peaceful Explosion, aka Mike Matthews. He's just jumped ahead of Jamal Clouden, Halty and Rabbit Joe, who you have history with at this circuit.
Rabbit Joe, yeah.
Not in a bad way.
No. Love Rabbit Joe to bits. Another Simplay veteran, but beat me to a championship by countback. Second place.
Second
countback.
Place. One second place.
I beat him to the win round here.
What a championship that was. Project Cars 2, Season 4. Go back on the playwlist. Season 4, Project Cars 2 Pro-Am. Watch the Bathurst race because it was wet. Maze Gamer, if I remember rightly, Maze Gamer had the championship lead, pressed the reset button that Project Cars used to have, which was an immediate -5 championship points.
Yep.
He then had a shocker that cost him the title, which brought you and Rabbit Joe back into play. And towards the end of that, you can hear the clogs working away in my head as I'm trying to figure out who is winning this championship, who was where, and Dan had to take over commentary. I'm doing all the work. What a chaotic night that was.
What I remember most is I think we were halfway through the race and before you and Dan actually realised that I was in for a shout for the championship.
Yes, yeah.
And I was winning the race at the time.
Yeah.
And they get halfway through and then all of a sudden you two go, oh, hang on a minute, KLF is in this one.
Yeah.
And it was a dramatic end to the season. But Rabbit Joe got there. We were equal on wins. We were equal on points. And he won because he had more second place results than I did.
And it was only one second place.
One. Yeah. Could it be any closer than that? Has Simplay ever had a closer championship?
No, it hasn't.
I don't think so.
No, it hasn't.
So,
if I'm right, you was in the Renault.
I was that season, yeah. My
which means
Nicky,
Which means, and if we go back earlier in that season, you come second place at Zolder, losing out to Smithy, the GOAT.
Yeah.
Clive Smith.
Yeah.
Who had never won a race, never had a podium up until that night, come away with a podium and a win. Yeah. Imagine if you'd have been able to win that race at Zolder.
Well, what was even worse than that, at Fuji, I let my teammate past. I can't remember where we were, 5th or 6th, something like that, and I let him past for extra points for his championship that year. So I could have won the championship by not doing the right thing for my team. There you go. That was back in the days when I could race, or more importantly, that was back in the days when the rest of the grid wasn't so good. With no disrespect to any of our grid, we've had some great races all the time here at Simplay, but the grid has got an awful lot better since we've been on ACC.
It has indeed, and it's just getting stronger and stronger with every step we take. Kelly, who are you going for quickly in race 2?
A Mustang, Tardok would be my thing. I think this is going to be an absolute classic here right now. So don't go anywhere, don't anybody leave, because I think this is going to be a right proper scrap. This.
Yeah, I'm going the way of Sylph. I think he's got the pace tonight. It's green and go though for round 8 of the season. Look at that little mighty Honda trying to pull down the start line. Up the inside it goes on Hoopit. Hoopit tries to fight it strong around the outside. Bit of contact made from the two leaders, and Hoopit, look, just too strong in the Mustang. All cleanly through turn 1. Dan's got the jump on, I believe, Sylph there at the start. So Dan Davis getting the jump. But look at Tordok gaining alongside that of O'Reilly. The Porsche Honda, probably two of the slowest cars in a straight line. O'Reilly tries to hold her up the inside at turn 2 and fights back against that of Tordok. Beautifully done from Kieran O'Reilly. Great respect from everybody as we're all through turn 1 relatively clean. I think there's a little spinner, car 14 I think I saw, with a yellow flag around his name, jumping down the order. That is that of Ben, who has dropped down to 19th place. But already, Kelly, what a start to this race, and Dan Davis getting up the pack a little bit as well. Will Freeman on the back of Overtaker. They both got ahead of Jamal Clouden, who's got Sky Schundelmeyer with him. Dropping down to the Ferraris a little bit, you got the Bentley running in 15th place. There's Ledger and Gary Leach ahead of Darren Yo. Ben Rook, let's just take a look at this car then. He's the one who had that little bit of damage, or had that little bit of a moment. Let's take a look at his car as he drops down the hill. Don't see any damage on the car, so maybe just a moment. Who's that? 777. That is your race 1 winner of Viper, who's around coming through the dipper.
Absolutely. Dan Davis touches the wall at the top of the hill, and he's going to be under pressure from Stealth. I think Stealth has got him. Yeah, he's side by side as they come down the straight. Stealth with the power. I'm on board with Carlos, who's right up the chuff of Dan now, but he's going to try and go round the outside of him as they go down side by side down the straight as they go into the chase. And Carlos has got that done as well. Overtaken.
Don't be sure yet, Kelly. Don't be sure yet. Dan's going to fight it round the outside. He'll have the inside line for the next part. That's allowed Overtaker to get the run, and he passes Dan now. So now the move's done. Here comes Freeman. Dan's getting swamped by the Mustangs. Hoopert's got big damage to the front of his car, which has allowed O'Reilly to have a look as well. But Dan swamped by the Mustangs there, and that was just silly.
I think Dan was he was outgunned down the straight, but I think Dan backed out of that corner to try to avoid an incident with Carlos or Stealth or one of them, which he had to pay dearly for.
He did have to pay dearly for his Viper's well off the back, so he's trying to recover. Here's Sky Schundelmeyer going side by side with Jamal Cloud, and that Porsche of Sky Schundelmeyer, I tell you what, has got some pace in a straight line tonight. They just banged doors a little bit, and was that Jamal just squeezing Schundelmeyer just a little bit? They all come through turn 3 though, relatively clean still here, but it's Hupert who leads from O'Reilly. But I don't know what Hupert has hit here out front, Kelly. He has got some significant damage to the front and left hand side of that Bold Mustang, and O'Reilly here is sitting in a prime position at the moment with Tordok and Sylph behind. Then it's Carlos, then it's Overtaker. Dan's not been dropped by Overtaker yet. He's still in contention here. One mistake from these boys and it could all be game over though, up and down the mountain, as that is one of the Ford Mustangs off. I believe Sylph has just had a moment through the gravel.
He may have done, but he hasn't lost much time, to be fair. I'm actually riding on board, and if you want to hear something stupid, I'm using my steering wheel to change the camera positions, and I'm riding literally on board on the bonnet cam, and finding myself steering around the corners. I'm not even driving the car.
Shadow driving.
Yeah, something like that.
It's like in cricket.
Braking.
It's like in cricket where you stood in the changing room, you're getting ready to bat, you play a few shots, you get out to the middle, you do the opposite of what you've just practiced in the changing room. You're doing exactly that now. You're driving, you think, look at me, I'm rapid. You get on the track, crash, first wall you hit, bang, race over. Either way, Hupert's doing an amazing job to hold off O'Reilly, who is sticking with these Mustangs at the front. Chris is saying in the chat that Ben got hit, no damage, got hit, lost a couple of places, even into Paul Williams as well. That is FBR Whitcomb in the chat. Everyone on a little late on parade, but looking forward to this feature race. Well, it's going to be an exciting one. Dropping back to, in fact, no, we're not dropping back, so O'Reilly's pulling out and having a look now on that of Hupert. Tucks back in behind as we drop down to Dan Davis and Will Friedman. Friedman has a look on Dan, who's just lost momentum. Going back down the order once more towards Beasley and Ledger, who is having a look at each other. Now to Gary Leach, who's got Ben having a look at him. Then there's a great big Bentley and that of Skunky having a look, and Gary Leach cannot do anything about Ben. Up the inside goes Ben, and Gary Leach down another place.
Yes, indeed. It's close at the top, and O'Reilly has a look at... let's move on to O'Reilly so I can see better. He's having a look on the outside as they come up the mountain. I don't think you're going to get it done there, my old friend. Excuse me. This is close racing for sure. And Hupert still keeping it out there, and I think he's just driving on his wits a little bit. He's definitely got damage on that car.
Definitely, as you can see, it crimpled and scraped on the front and on that left-hand side as well. O'Reilly squeaky clean at the moment, and it's up and down the mountain. The problem is, O'Reilly's Honda, you'd imagine maybe a bit better than the Ford Mustang up and down the mountain, with it being, a bit better through the corners and things. As there goes Carlos onto the grass. The problem for O'Reilly is, though, Kelly, he can't extract that pace because he's got to go slow instead of running into the back of Hupert. There was a bit of an off-track there for Carlos. He's back on all fine at the gravel. You've got Sylph looking at the back of Tordok. Whoa, nearly in the back of Tordok, coming into Forest Elbow. That could give Carlos a run. And Dan and Friedman still sticking with the back of Overtaker, just ever so slightly. They're also bringing Clouden, and this is what racing brings. What a great start to this race this has been. O'Reilly not giving up this fight. Down to Schundelmeyer again. He's now going to try and get on the back of Clouden. He's ahead of Harris, Mike Matthews, then it's Beasley, Patrick Ledger still, Darren Yeo ahead of Ben Rook. Tobias Hoffer's now got ahead of Gary Leach, and then it is Skunky down in 19th place. Viper still in the pit lane at the moment with some damage to that car. As here comes O'Reilly, Kelly, on the outside line of Hupert into the final corner.
Yes, indeed, on the outside line, but again, it's going to struggle to get it round there. I'm on board with Tardok, who's nearly on board with O'Reilly. They're so close. It's an MSA sandwich.
Oh, dropping back here.
O'Reilly.
Sorry, Kelly, they're three wide. Overtaker's had a moment. Overtaker's had a big moment.
Round.
Oh, Friedman's hit Dan. Freeman's hit Dan. Apologies, Kelly. There was three wide coming into turn one. Freeman and Dan split Overtaker like he was Riccardo Zonta at Spa. So O'Reilly's had a moment. He's now got Clouden side by side with him, but Dan got past Friedman and got past Overtaker. So not sure what happened to Overtaker, but what happened to O'Reilly, Kelly Davis?
O'Reilly took a jab at the inside into turn one on Hooper. I don't think they touched, but O'Reilly just lost it on the exit and went round. And yeah, that was that. Just as it was all going on behind as well. It's all action at the moment. So yeah, Dan seems to have got out of that reasonably unscathed. I don't know if he's got any damage, but
Mike Matthews is in a wall, Kelly. Sorry, turn 2. Turn 2. Mike Matthews is in a wall. He's just been passed as I checked with a Fremont. Oh, he's got some bad damage on the front of that car, and he's got a long way till the pit window.
Yes, indeed. O'Reilly's dropped down to 8th. He's now got Cloudon's got in front of him, and so did a lot of people as he was fighting for second place. He's got a lot more down. Cloudon's hit the wall. Cloudon's hit the wall, and O'Reilly's
it's O'Reilly!
O'Reilly's hit him, and then Schundermeyer has hit the back of Cloudon.
Has Cloudon hit O'Reilly there? Because he then seemed to slow down, which caught Schundelmeyer out. Schundelmeyer has now got through as a case of this, and now Harris has got past O'Reilly. It is all kicking off here as Mike Matthews has returned to the pit lane. That is as bad as the damage can be for Mike Matthews. Overtaker's now looking on the back of Dan. We're going to stick with O'Reilly a second, who's trying to put Harris under pressure. With them out of Cloudon in front, you've got Beasley and Ledger behind. It's again 2. We can't even look at the chat once more because the first opening 9 minutes of this race has been everything and anything. All the drama kicking off here in the pro category tonight.
I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go. But poor old Kieran has lost in one lap. Has lost 8 places through one thing and another. He must be absolutely spitting bricks in that car, and he drops further and further back. He's got a lot of work to do now from 10th position, and he's got Harris, Cloudon and Schundelmeyer all in close company right in front of him, and it's not the easiest place to overtake round here. I've got to take a breath there. Where are we? Hooper's still in front. It's an MSA 1, 2, 3.
Because Torlock's going around the outside of turn 2, and I think he backs out of that one. He does back out of that one. They're all teammates for MSA outside of Simplay Motorsport. Obviously, it's only teams of 2 in Simplay Motorsport. But at the minute, what a drive this has been for everybody here. Dan and Overtaker, by the way, still in this for a podium. Look, Dan is right on the back of Carlos at the moment. Don't know what's happened to Taker. He's just dropped off the back of Dan coming through turn 3. Jamal Cloudon's now trying to put that pressure back on Schundelmeyer, but it's got Harris putting pressure on him. O'Reilly is still on the back of Harris. O'Reilly's Honda, I don't know what he's put in it, rocket fuel or something. He is rapid in that little machine. And Sky, to be fair, he's got that Porsche hooked up in a straight line tonight.
He certainly has, looking racing. Oh, and Hooper's round.
Cloudon's in a wall. Cloudon's in a wall. Coming down the mountain. Sorry, Kelly. Cloudon in a wall. The 302. There's Hooper's in the middle of the road.
That's what happened to Hooper. Hooper went round, and Dan just avoided him, but he was sat in the middle of the road there. Is he still there? Still in the middle of the road. It's a really difficult place to get out of. I don't know where. Hooper dropping down and down and down. Has he gone?
No, he's still there. He can't turn the car around, Kelly. Still coming down the mountain. We're just watching him. Yeah. The 302 of Skunky's now returned to the pit lane. The 441 of Hoopert is still stuck on the hill. Cloudon has now got bad damage to his car after losing it on his own. And guess what? Ben Rook in clear air. Ben Rook's got the fastest lap of the race. So 4 cars have returned to the pit lane now. That is catastrophic. So it's Tordok from Sil, from Carlos, from then Dan Davis, Overtaker, Sky Schundelmeyer running in a solid 6th position for him from Michael Harris, Kieran O'Reilly. It is a strange and bizarre race here at Mount Panorama here in New South Wales. Darren Yeo qualified by the back of the grid. He's up to 12th. I don't think Darren Yeo's legitimately overtaken a car this race.
Brilliant. That's the way to do it. Just keep your nose clean and stay out of it is absolutely the way to do it. So where are we? MSA 1-2. Hooper went round. He's gone backwards. Carlos also in a Mustang. Dan is the first of anything else in a Porsche. Overtaker in between, and then Schundelmeyer in another Porsche. So the Porsches aren't doing too bad at all.
O'Reilly's gone right around the outside, Kelly, of turn 2. He's now got the inside line coming into 3 of Michael Harris. They go very tight. O'Reilly gets the move done. He moves up another place.
Good move into there. Not easy to overtake in there. It's tight enough. But he's got, as I say, a lot of work to do, and to recover this back to the podium may be a big ask. But the way we're going in this race, anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and I think like you've just said about Darren Yeo, Kelly, it's about keeping that nose clean. You keep that nose clean, people make mistakes around you. 4 cars have ended up back in the pits. You will make up them spots. You will make up places. Jamal Cloudon, I think, is either drove into the pits or returned to pits. I'm not sure which one, but he's in the pit lane at the moment. This is a crazy race, and it's not done yet because Ben Rook, fastest lap of the race, is now looking at trying to get past Patrick Ledger as they drop down the mountain here, all running the black and pink, let's not forget, in honour of Aaron Myers, who sadly passed away at the weekend. They're putting on a show, but at the moment Overtaker within 4/10 of Dan Davis. This is where Taker can really gain on Dan. He's not close enough at the moment though to have a look at anything. We drop back down to Harris. He's kind of in no man's land. Ledger and Rook side by side in towards the chase they come. Rook up the inside of the little kink, job done on the brakes. Aston Martin up to 10th.
Nice. Nicely done from Ben there. In the chat, Rob Smith says, I blame reverse grid. Yeah, me too, Rob. What a terrible idea. Yeah, it's absolute chaos in a normal grid. So what's to blame? I say it's the mountain.
Yeah, 100%. Drivers out front, Silf and Tardock going side by side. That is Overtaker, just kicked up a bit of dirt. Believe that is P18, that is Skunky who's came out the pits. Cloudon's back out the pits. Hoopert's still in the pits, as is Viper. That could already be an early retirement from Viper. Attended Genie in the... Sorry, Kelly, go on.
I was just going to say, remember, we're not in the pit window, so these guys who are going into the pits have damage. They're repairing damage. They've still got to pit again. But as you say, Skunky, Mike Matthews and Viper and Hooper went back to the pits as well. So all retirements from these guys.
Attended Genie in the chat, that is Hoopert, who said God damn it, and then went 30 seconds from lap 1, so that'll be the lap 1 damage he carried, then made his own mistake. We're currently on board with Dan Davis. This is how tight it is up the mountain as the Mustang in front wallops the curves, goes onto two wheels for a moment. This is Dan's view of what he's got to chase for a podium. He's on the back of Carlos, dropping down the hill now, dirt being kicked up in front from the other two Ford Mustangs. It is very, very tight. You cannot make one single error here, because look, you will be in the wall.
And I mean, this track is nuts as it is, but to be on the ragged edge all the time. Carlos in the wall twice. Dan's going to get a run on him now. He looks one way, looks the other, puts a wheel on the grass. I would have said Dan's got the outside line now. How hard is Carlos going to fight it? Is he going to let him through? He's going to have the power advantage, but Dan's got his full car in front now. As they come down.
And look at Overtaker, Kelly. Look at Overtaker. He fancies maybe making this 3-wide. Oh, yeah. What a crazy move this could be. Dan goes defensive. Take it to the outside of Dan Davis. These two have been here before this season. Dan gets Carlos. Taker looks to get Carlos as well. That could be a great move from Overtaker. What could have ended up in disaster could be into a great manoeuvre. Carlos breaks a little earlier than Taker. Taker has to go wide to allow Carlos the room. And Taker now, has he got the move finished? I think so, yes.
Yes, indeed. Good racing from Carlos and Overtaker and Dan, to be honest. Nobody touched. That was damn good racing through that section. Very good. Because I would be in the wall.
Yeah, I think I'd have joined you in that wall as well. And then we'd have parked the car and gone for a beer, I reckon, Kelly, and called it a day.
With a whole load of new made-up expletives.
Yeah. Tordock and Silf out front. MSA Racing 1-2. They are 2/10 from each other. Dan Davis third, Overtaker fourth. Then it's Carlos. Guy Schundelmeyer is slowly catching these three as these three fight. He has got the back marker in front. Then it's O'Reilly, Michael Harris, Richard Beasley, who's got Ben Rook on the back of him. Ben is flying in this race at the moment.
Yes, he is.
Then we've got Patrick Ledger, Darren Yeo, Tobias Hoffer, Gary Leach, who's then got Will Friedman behind him, which I don't think he's going to have behind him for long as Friedman holds that tighter line and stays behind Gary Leach. Then it's Jamal Clouden, Skunky a lap down, Mike 2 laps down. It will go to a lap down as he crosses the line now. And then we have Hoopert still in the pits and Viper still in the pits, but Overtaker 3/10 off the back of Dan's off!
Oh no, is he? Dan's made a mistake.
I don't know what happened there, Kelly.
He's back in front.
He is back in front. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if there was contact, Kelly, because all I saw when we tuned back into this fight, Dan went across the runoff escape route at the top at Skyline and come back in front of Overtaker. Now, Dan is one of the most honest drivers you will meet. He would not have rejoined in front of Overtaker if there wasn't contact from Overtaker. So my opinion there is maybe a little tap.
Yeah, maybe so. I was on board with the leaders, Stilth and Tardock, maybe teammates, but they're certainly going for it. Overtaker very close to the back of Dan as they come through the chase for what is the 7th time, and down into that. Dan's going to have to be wringing the neck of that Porsche again. That Mustang is quicker in a straight line for sure. Dear. And
Yeah, no, I know.
Yes.
Where do you look? You can't read the comments. You can't pick who to watch on track.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Absolutely. As I said, I'm on board, and I'm staying on board. I'm on the bonnet cam of these drivers, and Stilth again is all over the back of Tardock. Tardock is loose on the back end. That Mustang, I reckon, must be a handful through these corners up and down the mountain. I did think about it as a talking point of what people prefer. A planted car, yes, you're going to be good through the corners, but you're going to lose out on the straights, or have that power advantage on the straights, because that seems to be what pans out as the best option. But I couldn't live with it. I like a planted car. It has to be all on the track for me.
Oh, Richard Beasley goes a little wide through turn 3, and across the nose of Ben and into the wall goes Richard Beasley. And that is a huge moment there. Yeah. He avoided Ben, but it was Ben who spun him into the wall.
Still pointing the wrong direction.
Carlos off and manages to, I think, recover as we turn on. Yes, he does recover. Chris saying all Beasley in the chat. I'm sure the stewards are going to take a look at that one. We have lost Viper, so that is a retirement there then for Chris, Viper in this race.
Chris would be on board with Ben, as Chris is Ben's dad.
Yeah.
So I presume he's watching him from probably over his shoulder. I'm saying, is that right, Chris? Are you watching? Are you in the same room as Ben?
We'll see what he says, but we have lost Viper, so that will then be yet again another qualifying ban for one of the old school racing drivers there then, who has that one to his name. He can get back in, he can get that 75% distance, but will still have to serve that qualifying ban for retiring nonetheless. There is no, sorry, that's a Pro-Am ticket I'm just looking at going in at the moment. So far then, it is Tardock from Stilth with Dan Davis. Still got overtake within that half a second. Then it's Carlos P5. Sky Schundelmeyer is getting closer to Carlos. He's not really gained on Dan and overtake that much. That's still 3.1 seconds, but he has closed in on Carlos. Then it is Kieran O'Reilly who's gaining on Schundelmeyer. Harris kind of sat station. Ben from Ledger from Yo now. Yo's again past another car that's been in a wall. Tobias Hoffer has got Will Freeman right up his trumpet with Gary Leach, Richard Beasley, who's got bad damage across the chase. Then it's Jamal Clouden, Skunky, and then Mike Matthews down the order. Hooper still in the pit lane.
Yes, indeed. And who's having some good races? Well, Daz, as we said, don't think he's overtaken anyone, but he's up to 11th place. Ben Rook, Team Audio Sport, like and subscribe, is in 8th position now. He's just gone up a position. And did he just overtake Ledger? Ledger have a moment?
No, he's already done Ledger.
No.
He was not. He was behind Beasley, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's the updating of the screen. So Ben up to 8th. Remember, he had an incident in turn 1 and was like 19th or something. Yeah,
he was indeed. Darren Yo started from about 19th as well, so for them two it's a really good race and a really good comeback here. We're currently watching Will Freedman on the back of the Bentley, coming up and over the brow of the mountain towards Skyline. They come then as the leaders within 3/10 of each other. Freedman avoids the back of the Bentley of Tobias Hoffer there. Downhill they now come. Freedman's going to have to patiently wait. This is where the blue flags are going to play. Now Dan's got 7/10 to overtake her. So that's a bit of a breathing space for Dan. What about Schundelmeyer? That gap's opened up to 2 seconds, Schundelmeyer to Carlos, but Schundelmeyer has now got to start worrying about Kieran O'Reilly, who's on the back of him. Let's go to Michael Harris. Harris has now got huge damage, so that might be where Ben's gained a place, Kelly. You may not have been seeing things. Harris has got huge damage, and yet again, now the question is, let's just stay on board Darren Yo, because could we see a legitimate overtake? Will Harris stay out till the 35-minute mark? That's when the pit window opens. Is Darren Yo going to actually make an overtake? The Bentley and the Porsche of Tobias Hoffer and Will Freedman side by side into the chase. Freedman up the inside, taking him on for the carrots. Nice move there from him. What will Michael Harris do? He stays out. So Darren Yo has the chance to overtake somebody for real now. Let's go on board with Sky Schundelmeyer and see him fight with O'Reilly a little bit.
Yes, indeed. It's started to level out a little bit, and just the race is just neutralising a little bit. But lo and behold, in 3 minutes' time, it'll all start to change around again as we have a round of pit stops. But for the moment, everyone's starting to seem to have settled down a little bit.
We've lost Beasley. We've lost Beasley from the race.
Right. Okay, that's another retirement. That's not good. We've got Will Freedman's all over the back of Hoffer as they go up into turn 2, climbing up the mountain, and Friedman has a look there, but couldn't quite make it stick, not close enough. The big Bentley just holding him off for a minute.
Oh, Hoffer got back in front of Friedman then, because Friedman got past him at the chase. So this is interesting at the moment. Richard Beasley then, retirement from this race. That could be a qualifying ban for Silverstone there for Richard Beasley in this one then. And we're down to 18 drivers. Lost Viper, lost Beasley. Unsworth didn't take the start of this race. O'Reilly's on the back of Schundelmeyer. Dan's now got a second to Overtaker, and Carlos is within 1.2. So at the minute, there's O'Reilly to Schundelmeyer. Just going to drop down to Friedman and Hoffer at the moment, who's within a bit closer than O'Reilly.
Yes, indeed. Ben in the chat, not allowed in the same room. He's not allowed in the same room as Ben. Ben's got to concentrate, isn't he? Hey?
Yeah.
And he's a teenage boy, so he probably doesn't like anybody in his bedroom. You know, probably hasn't cleaned it in a month.
Here comes Will Friedman side by side with Tobias Hoff. That Bentley looks like it's just carried a bit of front end damage at the moment. Down the Conrad straight they come. Gary Leach waiting in the wings. It is very close. They come down the straight. Hoopert's still in the bits. That could be a retirement and a quali ban for Hoopert at this stage. Whereas Friedman tucks back in behind. What's O'Reilly doing with Schundelmeyer? Schundelmeyer still fending him off. Great outing for Schundelmeyer tonight, if you ask me, Kelly. He's had two solid races at the minute.
He certainly has. Friedman has gone to the outside for turn one. Can he get it? He's got the job done before he got to turn one. A lovely strategy from Friedman there. Did the cut back and made it stick before he even got to the last corner. Good move.
A great move indeed, as O'Reilly couldn't do anything about Schundelmeyer. Sky's got that Porsche looking good in a straight line. Overtaker's back within 8/10 of Dan, but has got Carlos a second to him. So interesting to see there. This is Schundelmeyer and O'Reilly, though, coming up through turn 3. Now this is going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on for sure in this race. What an absolute fight it has been in this one. We've lost Viper. Unsworth didn't take the start, and we've lost Richard Beasley in this one. They have all retired from this race. And at the moment, it is going to be an interesting fight towards the end here, Kelly, no matter what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm on board with O'Reilly now, who's hunting Schundelmeyer down as they go down the mountain. And there's no way to do it down here. You just have to follow through until you get onto the long straight. But O'Reilly is making a comeback in this race, trying to get back to some of those positions that he lost. Remember, he was fighting for the lead at the beginning of this race. And it all turned to custard, and now he's just reeling in that Porsche as they come down the Conrad straight. Flat scat, 180 miles an hour, is it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, as they come into the chase, heavy braking, heavy on the brakes, almost a 90-degree left-hander. Schundelmeyer back end of that Porsche is all over the shop. And who we on with? O'Reilly goes wide as well and puts it on the grass. I think he was a little bit unsighted by Schundelmeyer's slide. Yeah. Probably tried to do some evasive action, put himself up on the curb, but he lives to fight again.
He does live to fight again, but Dan Davis is now coming under increasing pressure from that of Overtaker. Pit windows open, so whoever's at the back end of the circuit could maybe dive into the pits straight away. And I believe Michael Harris and Darren Yeo have both said, I fancy a piece of that. They are straight in as what looks to be car 21 of Tobias Hoffer. Dan Davis manages to keep that Porsche ahead of Overtaker as they come up towards the mountain now. This is now the closest fight on track at the moment since O'Reilly had that wiggle. The lead is a little closer, but they don't seem to be fighting too hard, being teammates. The last thing you want to do is take your teammate out in a race. That is for sure. But Dan Davis at the minute has got Overtaker right behind him in this one. And at the end of the day, if you're Mike Matthews, Jamal Cloud and Skunky, who's had them problems at the start with Beasley retiring, that's gave you all an extra place.
Absolutely. I'm on, and why not? Oh, and Overtaker's on the grass at the top of the hill, but he manages to keep it all together. I'm on board with Overtaker at the moment, and these two have been rivals, Dan and Overtaker, for many seasons now. They've closely matched drivers, and they've had their ding-dongs, and they're having another one. In Dan's position, he's been under pressure from Overtaker for lap after lap. What would you do, Matt? Would you opt for a quick pit stop, or would you stick with it?
It's a tough one at the minute, Kelly, because you've got to take into consideration what your tyres are doing. And Dan's got clear air. Overtaker's got that heat coming off the back of the Porsche, the dirty air coming off the back of the Porsche, which will be hurting his tyres more than Dan. Dan's got free air at the moment. As we're back with Schindelmeyer at the minute, O'Reilly getting a little closer to him. Taker still got has now got Carlos within a second. So they're all coming back and forth. It's ebbing and flowing, me and Kelly like to say. As Overtaker there, I think, was trying to sell Dan a dummy.
We'll have to get up a bit earlier.
I tell you what, unless you're going to Cornwall Beach to buy one of them rock dummies, I don't think Dan's going to fall for it.
No, you'll have to get up a little bit earlier to try that one on Dan. He ain't going for that one. In the chat, we've got a little bit of chat about teenage rooms now. Try 21 Love, is that Tracy, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, tried to stay out of Sky's room when he's racing, but his 9-year-old sister likes to sneak in once in a while and watch him race. Well, yeah. Oh dear. Yeah.
One thing to note, by the way, Darren Yeo did get past Michael Harris, but it was in the pits, so he's still not overtaken a car on the road. But Darren Yeo, I'm sure, will not be bothered about how he overtakes the cars. All I think he'll care about is when he overtakes the cars. Overtaker now, sort of in that situation of attack Dan, but watch your mirror, one eye on each kind of thing. And at the moment, this is not the track. You want one eye on a mirror and one eye on the car in front, because you need to have both eyes fully fixed on the mountain.
And to quote Martin Brundle saying, in motor racing, you're either giving pressure or you're taking pressure. At the moment, Overtaker is in that position where he's doing both. Oh, Dan touches the wall. Overtaker goes round the outside of him, and he gets it done. Dan has to concede that one. A little mistake from Dan has cost him dearly. And now Carlos is trying to go round the outside before they get onto the Colin Rod straight, but he can't make it stick from there. I reckon Dan will dive in the pits in a minute,
Yeah, I reckon you're right now. I reckon you're right now, Kelly. That was a little twitch again from Danny's own errors. We've seen a lot of errors from unorthodox, but like you say, that was now Overtaker who makes up the move onto the podium in this race at the moment. Through down the back straight they come, up and over the curb. Here comes Dan, trying to get back ahead of Overtaker. Carlos now trying to get ahead of Dan Davis. Who is going to bolt for the pits? The leaders both stay out on the track. Who is going to bolt this time around? You're right, Kelly. It's like you know your own son, Dan Davis, straight in.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan fights into the pits. Is he going to try and see what he can do with an undercut and see if he can make the undercut work for himself tonight?
O'Reilly's got past Sky. Didn't see that, but O'Reilly's got past Sky Schindelmeyer.
Okay, Schindelmeyer in the pits.
That might be where he's got past him, although no, with 3.8 behind.
It's only just happened. Yeah, it's only just happened, to be fair. Schindelmeyer has dived into the pits, and O'Reilly has kept going. Friedman keeps going as well. And the leaders are still out at the moment. And I think you're quite right. I don't think they're racing each other. I think they're holding station at the moment.
Yeah, I think it may be a case of get towards the end and race each other in the final couple of laps. Maybe build that gap, get that space to the cars behind, that if you do slow each other down when fighting, you're not going to put yourself under any pressure from that of Overtaker, Carlos, maybe even Dan Davis himself. Just drops a wheel on the dirt there. Dan Davis's pit stop is done now. I can tell you, if you are planning on changing tyres tonight, that will take you... where is it? Bathurst, 54 seconds. You'll lose 44% of your lap as we enter the halfway stage of the race. 5 minutes left on the pit window is left, so drivers have got to start to think about pitting at this stage of the race. It is Tordok who's got the fastest lap of the race at the moment. But I tell you what, this is an interesting race today, Kelly, at the moment. It is so fascinating to see. Let's just take a look. Did Dan repair damage? No, he didn't. He stays out of Schindelmeyer. Ben's come out P9. Patrick Ledger's 10th. Tobias Hoffer 11th. Darren Yeo 12th. Gary Leach 13th. Michael Harris 14th. Clouden, Skunky and Mike all yet to pit, as are the front runners. What will Tordok and Sylph do here? Tordok bails to the pit lane. What will Sylph do? He stays out on track. Will Overtaker now react to Dan Davis? This is going to be the big question here, Kelly.
He's got Carlos all over the back of him.
He does react.
He does. Yeah, he goes into the pit lane. He's had Carlos half a second off the back of him for that last lap, and I wonder if that's giving him pressure. Now, let's see if Dan's done enough. He's on his out lap. He's coming down the hill now, and I find myself steering again. I must stop doing that because I don't think I'm as good as Dan. So I'll leave it to Dan to do. He's coming down the Conrod straight now. Overtaker is still trundling along to his pit box. He's quite a long way down the pit lane. Cloudon's car's just in front of him, so that would have unsighted him slightly. Rolls into his box. Car is in the pits, and from my view is just sitting there. It isn't being lifted. Dan is coming down into the chase now and into the final section. Has he done enough? Will Overtaker change tyres? Overtaker is still stationary. When he goes, he's only 50 yards from the pit limiter, so he will be out quickly. Dan is into the last corner on the apex of it now. Doesn't bother that apex too much. That doesn't matter. He hasn't bothered it much.
O'Reilly's gone before Overtaker, Kelly. O'Reilly has gone green in the pits before Overtaker. Overtaker's only just gone green. It doesn't matter because Dan has jumped Overtaker a country mile in this race.
Absolutely, and Overtaker is out and off the limiter, and he's got
it's Cloudon, but Cloudon's a lap down behind him.
That's what I was trying to work out. Cloudon came out with him, but Cloudon's not in this race. But Dan has got the job done. The undercut kept him in front.
The undercut has kept him in front, and you just wonder how much of Overtaker's in-lap and Dan's out-lap affected each other there. Definite change for tyres from Overtaker. I can't see Dan not of changing tyres based on his testing earlier in the week. He told me off, in testing today. He told me off in testing, so he was a little annoyed with his performance in the Porsche, or the Porsche's performance as he bounces off the wall. Does Dan Davis, and he's got to keep this all together. It could easily go away. Schundelmeyer is a little closer to O'Reilly than what he was before the pit stops. So Schundelmeyer now down in 7th place. 2 leaders have still got to stop in this one, let's not forget, and they've only got 2 minutes to do so. So does Skunky in this race. Hoopert is now 9 laps down. That is pretty much a retirement for Hoopert. That could be 3 qualifying bans going in Silverstone.
That would make for another reverse grid in a minute.
Yeah,
they keep on like this.
Carlos has Silf gave himself enough time. 1:37 of the pit window. Silf is on his way up the mountain, and remember, the race leader or any lead car cannot lap a driver coming down the mountain. This is to make the drivers more aware and predictable of where to do their overtaking and do their business. Sil's got a bit of a gap to, that's Gary and I believe Michael Harris, but has he got enough time to get into the pit? He's only got to be in the pit lane, let's not forget. There's a car backwards. Oh, it's Darren Yeo.
Oh no, Daz is round. Carlos
Darren!
Just been dropped.
Moved.
He's out of the pits.
Sorry, Kelly. He's moved and clipped Silf.
Oh, Carlos has jumped Overtaker.
Great stop. He's right on the back. So did he change tyres?
I don't know, but he just come out right on the back of Dan and has jumped Overtaker. Overtaker will not be happy about that. Carlos either didn't change tyres or just did a better job of his outlap and his pit stop. He was right at the end of the pit, literally garage 1 at the end of the pit lane, and if he'd just been a little bit quicker he would have jumped down as well, but good stop from Carlos, moves him up a place. So
Silv's got a bit of damage now after clipping that of Darren Yeo coming down the mountain. He's got 15 seconds to get across that white line. Let's go on to the helicopter cam. 11, 10, 9, 8. This is going to be mighty close. There you see the white line. He's in the pit lane now with 4 seconds to go. I tell you what, piece cake, timed to perfection.
Well, there's as a friend of ours says, there's drivers and there's screwdrivers, and that was absolutely spot on.
Could you imagine though, Kelly, if where Daz had spun, he got stuck behind Daz for just that 5 seconds, that would have been game over.
That would have been it, absolutely. As Daz comes into the pit now, he's probably got a load of damage to repair. So, how is this going to pan out with Tardok? Tardok was in the lead, only by a couple of tenths. He's coming down into the chase right now. Still to another one who's very close. He's pit garage number 2 at the end of the pit lane. He's still up on the jacks at the moment. Tardok is now coming to the final corner, and Stealth is still sitting there. It looks like Tardok is going to get back in front. Right, Stealth is away. He's over the pit limiter line, but we can already see Tardok is on his way up the hill, and in fact, Stelter just lost a little bit of time. Bit greedy on that line as well, that hard line.
Yeah, it was indeed. A Schundelmeyer still within that second of O'Reilly, but the real fight at the minute is Harris and Gary Leach. No, it's not, because Harris has got Gary Leach done by an absolute country mile. So Gary Leach struggling in that Lexus. He's struggled all season at the minute. The real fight then. Keep our eyes on Schundelmeyer and O'Reilly's time. Closest fight now on circuit. Ignore the Harris and Gary Leach one. That'll update with Harris in front of Gary. Closest battle on track is this Carlos and Dan Davis one. The problem for Carlos is he's ran out that space of straight line, Kelly. Dan can now easily cover off the mountain.
Absolutely. And Carlos, a relatively new driver, isn't he, here at Simplay?
Yeah, new this season. He's done a couple of GT4 races, signed up to the GT3 this week. So that's why he started from the back of the grid in race 1 with Will Freeman. And he's got a race win to his name, the reverse grid. I believe it was the reverse grid race at Indianapolis, which was his second round of the season in GT4. Took the race 1 race win. And...
he's not too tardy, is he?
No, he's not. He's putting on a good display. What was his first race result here? It was 18th place in race 1. A lot of carnage race 1. Gary Leach is in the pits as well. But having a good showing here in race 2. Darren Yo's dropped behind Jamal Clouden. Stays out of Skunky and Mike Matthews. I reckon Jamal will get Gary Leach as well. But Dan under pressure. Here we go. Down the Conrod straight. Out to Forest Elbow. Schundelmeyer's lost another 10th to O'Reilly in that middle sector. Keep our eyes on that for that fluctuating up and down. But Dan has got 2 big, powerful Ford Mustangs bearing down on him down this straight.
Absolutely. What Dan could do with now is overtake pulling up behind Carlos and giving him some pressure, as Carlos is pulling right up behind him, but they're in the braking zone now. Carlos has a look. He's a bit late for that, and Dan holds his line, isn't flustered, doesn't start defending fresh air or anything like that, but that Mustang certainly has got the power. But if Dan can keep him covered off, then happy days.
Yeah, at the minute, that's the best thing. Let's take a look at Schundelmeyer then. He was possibly gaining on O'Reilly down the back straight. He's had his Porsche hooked up in a straight line. There you go, look. He's took 2 tenths or a tenth and a bit out of O'Reilly down that last sector alone. So Sky's got that Porsche hooked up down the back bit. It's just up and over the mountain where O'Reilly has his number as O'Reilly bounce a hop, skip and a jump over the curve. Ben Rook only 2.3 in the background of these two. So watch out for Ben Rook here in this one as well. But Dan Davis, he's got to be, squeaky bum time, I think is the right words, Kelly, because for 21 minutes, Dan cannot afford to put a wheel in the wall.
No, he can't, and he's got to have his concentration and his focus going forward, and we've talked about this before. He's now got pressure. He looks in his mirror. He's got 2 Mustangs who very much want to take that place off him. Dan's sitting in that podium position, and that's going to be valuable, because they aren't going to catch the MSA boys tonight unless they make a hideous mistake. So that 3rd place is a very coveted place to be, and these 2 Mustangs want that place. But Daniel has to keep his focus, looking forward, not looking backwards.
Indeed he does. We're watching from the rear wing of that of Carlos. So I think just brushed the wall ever so slightly. Overtake had a bit of a wobble coming up the mountain. And this is an interesting one to see as they come down through Forest Elbow. How close now is Carlos to that off the back of Dan Davis? He's not mightily close at all. Schundelmeyer's within 3 tenths of a second though. He could have a great run on O'Reilly here. Kelly, you keep an eye on the Carlos Dan and overtake fight. We'll watch Sky Schundelmeyer try and close in. This is looking back from O'Reilly's rear wing. Look at that silver, green and grey Porsche. Just get a little bit closer and closer to this Honda in a straight line. Schundelmeyer is charging at the moment down the Conrod straight, flick it right, flat out through there, now hard onto the brakes, in towards the chase. Sky goes for a look up the inside and can't get the move done.
Overtaker's having a look at Carlos around the outside of the last corner, but he can't get it done. He's not hasn't got enough power to go around the outside. Carlos had some terrible understeer going down the Conrod straight, which let Dan off a little bit and brought Overtaker in. Overtaker goes deep in turn 1, is up on the grass. That's now taken the pressure off Carlos. So they've all 3 have just spaced out a little bit now as the pressure's off Dan and the pressure's off Carlos, but I'm sure they'll all fight again in just a moment.
Skunky has Mike Matthews bearing down on him. That is 7 tenths of a second at the moment. O'Reilly got that gap back up over the line to 8 tenths to Schundelmeyer, but you can bet your bottom dollar that Schundelmeyer is not done with Kieran O'Reilly yet. And why would he be? He's had a heck of a night tonight so far as Sky Schundelmeyer. What was his race 1 result? It was a P10. I think Schindelmeyer is in real contention for one of the drivers of the day. He's been fantastic tonight.
I was going to say that. Yeah, I was going to say that. He's got to be in the ratings for a driver of the day tonight, because he has been driving. He's been racy all night.
Yeah, really has. This is Mike Matthews now, just losing out a couple of tenths. Let's go back to Schindelmeyer. Not that close to O'Reilly at the minute. Let's see what the sector times say as they come towards sector 2. Carlos has dropped off the back of Dan just a little bit more. That went over a second. And Overtaker's nearly a second off the back of Carlos. So that pressure from Overtaker on Carlos really gave Dan a bit of breathing space. But I think Carlos has started to put the hammer down now.
Carlos was closer in that corner. What's that corner called? I'm just going to look at Forest Elbow. Forest Elbow, the downhill left-hander before you get onto the Conrod straight. So important to be clean through there, to get the power down quickly, to get onto the gas, get the traction down. And Carlos had a cleaner run, put him closer to Dan, but Dan is fending him off again. Down the Conrod straight, and that is where Dan is most vulnerable, is on that straight. Overtaker deep again into the last corner. Overtaker certainly giving it beans and trying to stay close to these two, but he's starting to struggle a little bit.
He is indeed, as Ben's now within a second of Sky Schindelmeyer. Sky's within half a second of Kieran O'Reilly. They're all gaining on Jamal Clouden, who's a lapped car,
yes.
Which is going to be interesting as well. Do you know what? I'm going to give Tobias Hoffer a shout. A 9th in race 1, 11th in race 2. In that Bentley, I think is well worth a shout as well for maybe a driver of the day. Remember, please hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are 16 subscribers away from that magic 900 number. And as well, hit that bell to be notified. This week has been such an emotional week here at Simplay Motorsport, remembering the life of Aaron Myers, aka Darren, who sadly passed away over the weekend. And we send our love and thoughts to the family as well. If you're in that description, go down to Audio Sport. The link is in the description, and to Design Manchester. We'd love to say more and get into detail about it, but we just can't, because Mike's not 2 tenths off the back of Skunky. Schindelmeyer's right up that rear wing. What's happening?
Sorry, Carlos was very close to crashing into the back of Dan. I would have had a brown moment if I was down there. He hit the brakes so incredibly late and almost crashed straight into the back of Dan. But take nothing away from Carlos. He's keeping that gap clean. He hasn't touched Daniel at all. But just when I went on board with him, well, I felt like I was getting in the back of that Porsche.
Gary Leach, yellow flag up the mountain just as Mike and Skunky are coming round. They're a lap down to Gary Leach, so they'll unlap themselves here. And if Gary's got big damage, that could play dividends to them to gain another place. But here comes Carlos on the back of Dan Davis. He's going to have a look up the inside. Dan defends. Carlos backs out of that one. Overtaker's not gone with them at the minute. Let's go to O'Reilly. Schindelmeyer's lost time down the mountain. So has Ben Rook. They're not close enough there. What about Skunky and Mike? They're not close enough at the minute. But back to Dan Davis and Carlos. And Carlos, is he having a look up the inside of Dan Davis at the final corner? He had a look, he put the nose there, but wasn't far enough alongside, and Dan slammed the door firmly shut in his face. And Overtaker maybe licking his lips here, because these two are getting racy.
Again, as I said, I've been on board on the onboard cam, so I'm sitting on the bonnet of all these cars, and again, I just had a phantom brake moment where I'm pushing my own brake pedal, thinking that I'm about to crash into the back of Dan's car. But Carlos keeps it all together, perfectly judged into that last corner. He didn't quite touch, but my word, he was close. He was so close.
So close, as Mike Matthews now 9 tenths off the back of Skunky at the moment. What was going well for Darren Yeo is down in 14th place, 31 seconds off the back of Jamal. But Dan Davis at the minute, he can just hold on here. He can just defend and hold on up and down the mountain. Let's go on the rear wing of Dan Davis. One of the nicest sounding cars. The driver of the day poll goes up for you guys in this one then.
It's how Carlos can follow so close, I don't know. I struggle to follow the car in front this close. I can't see the track for my, for where I should be on track and stuff like that. As they get incredibly close again coming down the hill. Carlos, some great racing from him, definitely putting Dan under lots of pressure, but Dan doesn't crack under pressure easily.
You say that, Kelly. He's made quite a few mistakes of his own accord this season, and this is going to be an interesting one. Do you know what, Rob Smith? I think Aaron gets driver of the week. I don't even think he gets a driver of the day. I think he gets driver of the week. I think he's been fantastic. But here comes Carlos to that outside line of the right-hand kink. If he can keep it around the outside, he'll have the inside line done. Little tap maybe from Dan and Carlos there, but Carlos swoops around the outside as easy as you like, and he picks up that podium from Dan Davis. But Dan has not left this one yet. He will fight this hard. Comes to the outside of Carlos, who pulls back in. Does Carlos break a little late? No, manages to hit his apex and get it turned in. Dan loses out there.
Yeah, but Dan was trying to sell him a dummy, sitting on the outside of him, swapped to the inside at the last moment, but there wasn't the room. What's going on, Matt?
Sorry, Kelly, Schundelmeyer's come out the final corner. He's had an almighty twitch just as he's getting close against the rear of Kieran O'Reilly. Go on, Kelly.
Sorry, mate, Carlos has been gone wide out of turn one. Dan's now got to run up the outside going up the hill, but his little Porsche's run out of puff as the power of the Mustang just starts pulling back away from Dan. He just hasn't got the power as they both hit the brakes at the 100-metre board. Dan's trying to go round the outside of turn two as they climb up the hill, but he's got to concede. And the watching brief is Overtaker on this one. He's ready to attack as soon as one of these goes in the wall. Dan goes deep again, struggling with the back end. Overtaker's now got to run on the outside of Dan, but there's nowhere to go out there. Dan's going to keep him honest out there, and rightly so. Overtaker backs out of that one.
Sky Schundelmeyer has been off, says Chris in the chat, and he has, because Ben Rook has passed him. Sky had an almighty wiggle behind O'Reilly coming through the final corner. I'm wondering if Sky didn't change tyres and his tyres might start to be going off. It's 44 degrees track temp out there at the moment. These guys have been mad to have not changed tyres. Will Freeman is pushing Patrick Ledger up the hill. Mike Matthews is on the back of Skunky coming down to turn one. Skunky's on the grass. Mike Matthews touches the grass a little bit, and Mike Matthews, thank you mama for the carrots, as Gary Leach would say watching on, gets through. But Dan now has Overtaker hassling the back of him, coming through the Forest Elbow. Kelly, I don't know which way to look. 2 weeks in a row, two fantastic ends to the races.
No, we are really not getting in the normal kind of banter that we have, because the racing's been so good this season and so close. And as Overtaker now starts to reel Dan in, down the Conrod straight. Meanwhile, Carlos has checked out a second or so ahead now, has checked out from these two. Dan's certainly the cork in the bottle, the KLF train.
He is indeed. So let's see what Schundelmeyer can do. Can he get back onto the rear of the two in front of him? Will Freeman has dropped Patrick Ledger. In fact, Patrick Ledger's had a moment somewhere up the mountain. He's got a bit of front end damage. That could possibly help Tobias Hoffer. 30 seconds that gap. We'll see what it plays out as Harris trying to catch Hoffer as well. But Overtaker, Dan has a big moment out of turn one, Kelly.
Yeah, he certainly does. And Kieran O'Reilly is now only 2.5 seconds off the back of this, with Ben Rook only a second behind him. These two are getting close to these front two. The MSA boys have checked out. Forget about them. Overtaker takes a look to the inside into turn two. Puts Dan on the outside. As Overtaker got the job done, I think Dan's going to struggle to defend this one.
I don't think Dan's changed tyres, Kelly. I'm going to say this now. I don't think he's changed tyres. What a rookie mistake from the champion again.
Well, you could say a rookie mistake, or maybe he was thinking that he was going to be the tyre whisperer, like father, like son. But he seems to have. I mean,
all pace has gone. Look at this. All pace has gone, Kelly.
Overtaker checked out.
I don't even think you could make the tyres last this much. Not in the Porsche. It slides around too much, and Dan is just struggling now. And this is going to put to bed Dan's race, because now O'Reilly's on the back of him, and he's got his teammate not a million miles away. And I don't think it's going to matter what Dan can do in this race. I think Dan's a sitting duck on every single traction zone.
Yes, indeed. Dan certainly seems to be struggling with this Porsche again. I've said it to him, but I don't think it was the best choice for this season.
So Kieran in the chat saying that Dan starting to struggle with tyres. That's the big question, Kieran. But Chris is saying Dan has damage and it seems to be causing the problems. Dan had damage in the first part. I'm unsure. The way this car is sliding out of the traction corners, turn one especially, we've just saw there, I feel like this is more tyres than damage.
I feel this is tyres myself as well, Yeah, but O'Reilly. Oh, and Dan has a clips bounced over the curb. O'Reilly gives him a little bit tap. Wasn't his fault. Dan was just bouncing over the curb. Don't think there's any harm done for either of them. Hopefully not. Good evening, Kieran. Nice to hear from you, my old.
There we go. Dan's bounced over the curb again there, Kelly.
Yeah, yes.
Goes on the defensive, trying to help his teammate out here as he's on the back of his former team, Simplay Racing. But I think O'Reilly could have Dan's number here, you know, because look at Dan through turn 1, up and over the curb, has nothing out of the corner, Kelly, and this Honda is pushing it down the straight at the moment.
Absolutely, you're quite right. As I've gone back to Ben now, who's got the watch on O'Reilly and Dan. Is Dan struggling with tyres, and now the strategy is to get Ben into play here, because Ben could pick up a couple of places here if he plays his cards right.
Could pick up a couple of places, but also with these three this close up and down the mountain, could end up in a disaster for all three of them, and Schundelmeyer could get through.
Yes, indeed. Dan again on the power at the back end, steps out. The rear tyres absolutely complaining every time Dan sticks a hammer down on that Porsche. I think he has cooked those tyres. And I was saying good evening to Kieran Argent, my old nemesis from many seasons, Project Cars. He's back racing, is he not?
He is. He's in the Pro-Am, yeah.
I look forward to racing you, Kieran, at later in the season. Hopefully we can have one of our scraps with a bit of luck. But good evening to Kieran, and the battle continues. Dan's still doing an epic job of defending. Where does he get it from?
Yeah, some might say that you're pretty good at it, as O'Reilly now comes back down the Conrod straight. Dan drifting to the outside, trying to break the toe, nearly drops a wheel onto the grass, and yeah, Dan is just pushing that Porsche, and we'll see what happens. Skunky's returned to the pit lane, so he's got 7 minutes left to get back out. O'Reilly gaining on Dan a little bit, Ben gaining on the pair of them. Ben's into the back of O'Reilly, and I said it, Kelly. I said no matter what Dan was doing to try and help Ben, Ben wipes out O'Reilly there, and that was all on Ben Rook.
Oh dear, I was on board with O'Reilly, and suddenly I just saw the back of my car lift up and get turned round. So O'Reilly's
returned to the pit lane.
Pits, he has. He's had enough. He's out. He's done.
So he will score points, Kelly. It will. Well, him and Skunky, if they don't return to track, will score points for three-quarter distance, but will still receive a qualifying ban. We could have 5 drivers on a quali ban here. This is crazy at the moment. 5 drivers could be on a quali ban for Silverstone. And, well, I said, didn't I say 2 minutes ago, Dan can hold O'Reilly up to help Ben out as much as he wants, but it's Sky who could take all 3. He's got 2 of them done.
He has got 2 of them done, and now he's staring at the back of Dan's Porsche with what we think is absolutely horrendous tyres. As Dan again, every corner is seeming to, as soon as he gets into the traction zones, the back end is complaining on that Porsche and stepping out. But Schundelmeyer, has he changed tyres? Does he have better grip than Daniel? He certainly has got himself into this position up to 6th place, and we could still have a big scrap here for the final couple of positions here.
We could indeed, and I tell you what, that for O'Reilly being in the pits is going to give Cloudon a place, it's going to give Darren a place, it's going to possibly give Gary and Mike a place.
Yeah.
Yeah. What can you say?
Unfortunate. Well, there's not a lot you can say. You know, we're always encouraged to finish the race, and I've had some absolute shockers where I've been 3-4 laps down. You know, with 45 minutes to go, and still gone on and finished the race, because that's what we try to encourage to do. So, you know, yeah, what can we say? We know what it's like to be in the heat at the moment, and you know, battling hard, and you got to feel for Kieran. You know, he's had some opportunities to win races tonight, and you know, it's been taken away from him.
I think, Kelly,
that's sim racing.
And pull me up if you think I'm wrong here, as Dan has a wiggle out the final corner, Schundelmeyer all over the back of him now. I think O'Reilly has been the driver and has had the car set up to stop the MSA drivers winning races. He's not had the rub of the green in this second race.
Absolutely, and I mean, we could back and forth this for ages. I've got an awful lot of respect for Kieran's driving. I think he's very, very quick. He seems to be the man to be taking it to the MSA boys, because they seem to have the advantage this season. and he seems to be the man to take it. I mean, I think he dropped it on his own out of the first corner, fighting for position, but he was having a go at that position, so, you know, kind of fair play. But yeah, it's difficult. Dan in trouble again now. He just touches the wall, and Schundelmeyer's going to be tricky to try and overtake here. It's a bit of a no-no up through here, but Dan really struggling with this push for another week.
Yeah, I think this is massively tyres. The silly thing is, Kelly, as well, right? We went to Indianapolis last week. Did people change tyres? I know for a fact that the likes of John Gooday and Pro-Am didn't take tyres in race 2, went on to win the race at Indianapolis. The track got up to 12 degrees track temp, right?
Yeah.
Cool as anything.
Yeah.
It's 44 degrees track temp. If you've not changed tyres here, you must be a madman. Will Freeman's had a yellow flag at the top of the mountain. He gets going once again. We'll just jump down to Freeman. Yeah, he's going. Nothing too bad. Back to Sky. Schundelmeyer. There's Dan Look all over the place. And Schundelmeyer finishes a job that I think Dan had caused all himself. Yeah. That one will be interesting to see what happens in the steward's room if that one gets put in. But Dan Davis now with even more damage. Bent rear wing. Look at that. The rear wing is slanted. That is going to be a horrible car to drive. Ben moves up to 6th place. Freeman, who's had a moment in the wall as well. Well, Schundelmeyer through. I can't really say that Schundelmeyer was to fault there because Dan was all over the shop trying to control the car.
No, I think with all the due respect, I don't think that was Schundelmeyer's fault.
Yep.
I was just looking over at the screen trying to read some comments, and I looked round and Dan's car sideways. I think he lost it under traction all by himself. I don't think that was Sky's fault, but you know, hey, I'm just saying it like I say it.
I completely agree with you. I think, again, just another traction zone where Dan got a bit of a wiggle on, and, well, he's got to try and fend off now the rest of this car for at least 2 laps. Look at the state of that rear wing. Diffuser's a bit slanted, and the rear wing is definitely crooked. Dan is going to be struggling with that. If he thought the traction zone were bad now having all that rear damage is going to hurt him even more. The bonus is he's 21 seconds to Friedman. So let's see what happens. Mike Matthews should get past O'Reilly this lap, which will put O'Reilly down in 16th place and will probably give him that qualifying ban. Also, by the way, Skunky retired from both races, which will give him a back of the grid start for race 1 next week and a qualifying ban going into race 2 for a double retirement.
In the chat there's some comment about this. Rob Smith saying instead of quali ban, maybe we should make them drive the Maserati GT4 next week. And someone else saying, Ben Vargas saying, make them either drive the Jag or the Retia. Well, I think it would be kinder to have them stoned in the village outside the village clock than it would to let them drive the Retia. You know, so certainly. I mean, hey, the penalties are in place. You know, the qualifying ban.
Yellow flag for Dan again. Sorry, Kelly. Yellow flag. Will Freeman's passed Dan top of the mountain. That damage is too much, and there's 1 lap for Dan to still complete, and he's got half a lap here as Darren Yeo tries to go around the outside of Dan and ends up in the gravel, but Darren Yeo's unlapping himself. Dan now has to take the escape road as he just is struggling to turn this car. But he's got to get it. He's got to get it to across the line because he can't. I mean, depending on what damage he's got, he could pull that in with the damage. You know, if you can't fit it, and look at that, it's just gone again. The rear will just not stick for Dan, and well, Daz well avoided.
Dan's pointing in the wrong direction now. This is over for Dan, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's the car's absolutely had it, and. I think it's all over for Dan. He's dropping down the order, and as I said, he's still got another lap to do. So, well, hey, it's all kind of now neutralised a little bit. I don't think there's much racing left in this evening, but my God, we've had plenty of it anyway. So,
we have had plenty of it.
Ben's not a million miles away from the back of Sky Schundelmeyer, but he ain't breathing down the neck of him yet. I wonder if Sky's got a bit of damage now.
Do you want me to tell you the positive for Dan, if you can take a positive from this?
His car looks really nice.
Cloudon's a lap down to the leaders and can't unlap himself, so Dan will only finish 11th.
Yeah, well, that's the worst he can finish, you mean, yeah?
Yeah. Cloudon's behind that. Where's Cloudon now? So Cloudon is car number 36. Where is Cloudon? As the leader comes into the final couple of corners, Cloudon is coming down the mountain. Dan's waiting at the final corner for the leaders to come through. So here we go then. Tardok, fastest lap of the race. And he's going to take the race win as well. There's Dan waiting for the leaders to come towards the line. But Tardok is going to win this one from Sylph, who's going to take a P2. Good stuff from them. Carlos will then come across the line for that P3. Decent night for Carlos on his first outing, first podium on his debut week here at Simplay Motorsport. Sorry.
Ben Rook's taken an awful lot of time out of Sky Shundelmeyer, but I don't think it's enough. Sky's got enough time in hand to keep Ben behind. Maybe Sky just ended up with some damage, but Ben has dragged him in quite a lot. Took a second and a half out of him in the last lap, but it's not going to happen because Shundelmeyer's going to come across the line for a very strong 5th place, and also for Ben, another fantastic result to end up 6th. From that chaotic race. That was absolute madness.
We'll have that possible stewards inquiry hanging over his head if O'Reilly submits the ticket, but P6 for him in this one. Will Friedman looks like it's going to be a 6th and a 7th today in this race as he comes towards the line. Dan Davis has crossed the line, P11 already. Jamal Clouden will take that P12 in this one already. We just wait for everybody to come to the line. Will Friedman will take P7 in this. It's going to be P8 for Patrick Ledger. We just await for Michael Harris, who's going to take that 9th place. He is only 2.6 off the back of Ledger, who's got damage. One more lap, and Harris may have fancied taking another spot there, but that's another position for him. Harris P9. Tobias Hoffer's going to come across for a P10. 10th and 9th in that Bentley. Not a bad couple of results. 14th place for Gary Leach. It's going to be 13th for Darren Yeo in this one. We just wait for Gary to finish this race. Mike's going to finish the race down in 15th place. And really, Kelly, 3, 4, 5 retirements in this second race. O'Reilly and Skunky get the distance, but they'll have to still serve that quali ban at the very end of it then, and that's going to be the problem for them too in this one, absolutely, to say the least.
Yep, it's compromising their championship, but hey, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Indeed, it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be an interesting race and an interesting chat nonetheless. We are going to head over to the Discord party chat to see what happens if anybody is to join us in there, and we'll speak to you momentarily.
Give it all you got.
Yeah, I'll go to the normal party and see what happens.
No worries, dude. Catch you in there.
See ya.
No worries, dude. Catch you in there. Mental again, man. Just.
Yeah.
Well, even in the normal grid, it was fucking chaos. You know.
It was. It got nothing to do with reverse grid. That's bollocks. It was chaos in all of it. Keep reverse grid.
I know. I don't think it's drivers.
It's been said in the past.
Phil, I don't think it's drivers and screwdrivers. I think it's impatient bastards. If I'm correct in what I saw, overtaker squeeze Skunky, and it's just silly, stupid driving. Yes, why? I'll have to double check that. I'll have to double check that.
Going back to what we were talking about, it's exactly the same as I've said before, Matt, Phil. It's sim racers. They're impatient. There's no consequences.
Yeah. You said this last week.
And they're impatient, and you know the retirements are annoying because they've obviously got the ump, you know, and been impatient, got the ump, and then retired, you know. But
if you drive like, if you crash, you're out. If you're out, you're out, 100%. But let me put this to you, Kelly, right? Let me put this to you. If we get rid of the we've seen 5 retirements in that second race. Skunky and O'Reilly clearly were damaged, clearly pissed off at the end, thought, fuck it, I'm just going to stay in the pits. Yeah. And we saw Hooper stay in the pits, we saw Beasley leave, we saw Viper leave, right? Yeah. 5 retirements, Skunky retired race 1, 6 retirements tonight. If you get rid of reverse grids, I'm going to put this here now, you get rid of reverse grids and MSA dominate every qualifying, every fucking race, you lose them 5 drivers come the end of the fucking season. We're going to end up with 16 cars on the grid again.
Those, I mean, I don't, I mean, I'm talking generally because I don't know any of those 5 drivers personally, right? I don't know their characters, I don't know who they are, where they're from, so on and so forth, right? But I think, as you said, if they're not winning, they're not playing, if you know what I mean, you know. And I think you're exactly right. If you get rid of the reverse grid and it's MSA all the way, that they'll just lose interest and go anyway.
100%.
You know? At least the reverse grid gives a chance to go forward.
Well, look at tonight before the pit stops. Viper led, won the race. Daz was up there for majority of race 1. Daz will never be up there this season.
No, he hasn't. He's not quick enough. You know, it's the only opportunity for him to be at the front. You know, and you know, I mean, there's going to be a time later in the Pro-Am season where I'm going to be near the front, and I'm going to love it. How long I can stay there, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? But you will have the butterflies for being so high up. You know, and the rush, the thrill of it. The nosebleed, the rush, and then the shakes, and then probably a crash.
I think we have to revisit the rule of lap 1 incidents.
As in what? What is the rule stand at the moment?
The rule stands at a double penalty, you know, like 2 or 3 penalty points and a 20-second time penalty, depending on the severity.
Anything.
Yeah, so fuck them then. So fuck them, race ban. Fucking ban them.
It's not fucking, it's getting them a race ban, then they come back and do it again. It's the same people.
Right, but Mike, we went down to 15 drivers last season because people got bored of Dan winning every fucking race. If MSA dominate all season, people are going to leave and quit. We're going to be back down to 15 pro drivers with a 30-car pro grid.
Do you know what the problem is nobody's wrong here, you know, and as I said before, the problem is sim racers. Now, how many of us want to race like professional race drivers? I mean, I want to, doesn't mean I do, but
I don't think tonight's track has helped either. Let's make that abundantly clear. I don't think Bathurst helps. I think you're going to get the same when you go to places like Alton Park, like Zandvoort, like Bathurst. Yes, mate.
I disagree. Pro-Am made it work.
I'm not saying they did, mate.
That's it. If Pro can't make it work and Pro-Am can, there's something wrong.
Well, as I said, I don't think there's any wrong answers here.
You know what's wrong with it? There's too many fucking egos in Pro. The biggest one's that Slovenian twat who fucking, I think, caused the start of it by squeezing Skunky.
they all want to win. They all want to win, and you know, this is the problem. I think you're right in what you're saying, Matt, about egos, and that's why they retired. You know, they don't see the long game. They don't play the long game. You know, they play in the moment, and to build a championship, you need to play the long game, don't you?
But that's the thing in Pro, Kelly. You go back to last season, Kelly, and watch Pro last season. Watch me and PN lose driver after driver, retiring because the grids are so small. Everybody's gave up because why? Dan's pissing away with every single race. And rightly so, Dan put the work in and Dan did the fucking best job. But then people, come the end of the season, come Donington, we had 12 drivers. 3 of them retired. We ended up with about 8 finishes. It was a joke. And the stupid thing is, Kelly, is the pro drivers are more Mardy than the Pro-Am drivers. Pro-Am will fight all season. But regardless of, like, DJ Phil will go to the end. You know, no matter how bad fucking Player Man does, he will go to the end. No matter how bad fucking them lot do, they go to the end. With Pro, I can't win anymore. Fucking turn. What's point turn up?
I think there's enough racing that's close now, up and down through the whole grid of Pro, that people will still fight because they're enjoying racing. What they're not enjoying is going round on their own.
Yeah, I mean, and this,
like Kelly says, there's no wrong point to this bit, is there?
No, I say I don't think there is. Do you know what I mean? The problem comes back to there is no clear answer. How do you keep people involved? You know, as I said, in the real world, there's big consequences for poor driving. Right, in the real world, there's financial investment, so you go to the end because you have to go to the end for every single point, you know, and so on and so forth. So it's those real world consequences that we always lose, and there's nothing we can do about it. You can't make real world consequences, you know.
No, of course you can't.
But that's the difference between sim drivers and real drivers. And, you know, as I said, I certainly hand on heart say we all drive like as close to pro drivers as we can do, you know, but not everybody does.
You just got fucking morons who just can't think their way through races.
Can't drive.
They're just
All they can see. Sorry, go on, Dan.
Lap 1 of a reverse grid, fucking people sending it up the nose of fucking up the mountain and then down the mountain. It's just like, what are you doing? Just get into a formation and then you can fucking race. The Mustangs were worse for this. Like, all of them bombarded me. If anyone saw my stream, they were just fucking all over me like fucking cockroaches. And it's like, fucking chill out, you know? It's like, fucking hell, we've just started the race and all of you have just fucking mugged me, you know?
The famous saying is you can't win the race in turn 1, can you? You know?
No, but they all think they can win it then at turn 2 and turn 3, and it's just like, it doesn't work at Bathurst. It does not work. And it's getting to the point where, you know, I'm not enjoying it now. You know, it's fucking stupid drivers, and that fucking Carlos, man, he's fucking lungy as shit. He is.
He was close to you a lot of the time.
Oh, he was a wanker, is what he was. But you got Clouden driving like a cock. You got fucking Overtaker driving like a cock. You got Sky driving like a cock. You know, you got fucking Daz, who's just missing all of his fucking brakes. You got, you know, and it's just like, fucking think.
Ben,
you know?
Ben rammed fucking O'Reilly off in a ridiculous bit.
Yeah, but
you know,
he didn't do it intentionally.
No, I know it's not intentional, but it's them silly things that are causing these incidents.
He knows he's getting a penalty if O'Reilly puts it in, but it was that, you know, it's just like,
I'm not
was
saying
like a mistake.
Yeah,
that was a genuine mistake. He did not intend, you know, it was no move on, no nothing. But it's like Clouden sending up the inside of fucking turn 2. It's like, what are you doing at the start of a fucking race? It's just like, fucking think.
Clouden's a prime example, and I had enough ding-dongs with him last year in GT4. He just goes for the gap, regardless. He doesn't think where your car's going to be when he gets there. You know, Clouden's one of the worst ones. Daz isn't a lot better, to be fair. You know, I wasn't having a dig earlier, but I kind of laughed to myself when you said, Matt, somebody would be stupid to try and overtake at certain places on the mountain, and someone would be stupid to go around the outside of the Craners in Donny. But, you know, it's been done. It's been done, you know, and we've all been in that position where you think to yourself, you're not really going to try and do it there, you know. And people do. And,
you want to know the silly thing is when we did the endurance race at Bathurst last year, I went side by side with Winter up the mountain and passed him. So it can be done when two drivers respect each other.
But you've got to have that respect. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
and
You've
nobody in pro's got respect for each other. And I'm not saying that about every driver. I'm not saying that Dan doesn't respect every driver and Mike doesn't respect every driver. I know Dan may have lost a bit of respect for Overtaker this season, but if Overtaker doesn't respect Dan back or Mike doesn't respect Dan back, whoever it fucking may be, you ain't going up and down the mountain side by side. You ain't going down the craners side by side.
No.
It isn't fucking going to happen. And we've seen it too much.
Again, it's mentioned in Formula One commentaries. You know, Martin Brundle says it a lot of the time. There's drivers that you can go side by side with, and there's drivers that you don't want to go side by side with. You know, if I'm on the racetrack, I'm going to use Clouden as an example because it's the first one I can think of. You know, if Clouden's close to me, I feel like there's going to be an accident. You know, I'm usually when I'm on track with Mike, there isn't an issue. Do you know what I mean? You know, or whoever. Do you know what I mean? There's certain, you know, if I'm on track with Gary Leach, then I know that, you know, Gary's going to do his best to respect the driving, you know, and respect the racecraft, and this is what it boils down to. It's not real world, you know, and this is the problem. But what are the answers, boys? You know.
Fuck knows.
First of all, we need drivers to stop putting tickets in. Because at the end of the day, these like one incidents keep happening. We can't penalise fucking anybody if nobody puts the tickets in. You know what I mean?
Do you know why I stopped putting tickets in last season? Because I was fed up with getting the backlash afterwards. I was fed up with you put a ticket in on, and again, I'm gonna take Daz or Nova as an example. You know, I put a ticket in when Nova twatted me into the back of me into the pits, wherever it was. Might have been Imola or Donny or whatever. He twatted me in the back, and I put that ticket in. Alton Park, right? And then I get a whole load of backlash off him on Discord. I don't need it. I'd rather just say, nah, don't bother. You know, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, and you know, completely agree with why you do that. You can't be asked for the aggro, can't be asked for the dealing. Then the same incidents happen. The guy's not been punished. It's like, why hadn't he been done for it before? He's done it twice now. It's like, blame Kelly for not putting the fucking ticket in. You know what I mean? It's like, I understand why people don't put tickets in for the aggro. Completely get it. But we can't deal with these incidents until tickets go in. And you go back to Project Cars 2. You go back to Project Cars 2. We'd save the replay. One of us would jot down, you know, lap whatever, turn 4. We'd go back and look at it. None of us have got time anymore.
And this was exactly what I was about to bring up, but I understand. You know, I've briefly been on the stewarding team, and you know, it's having time to do this. But in a professional motor race, the stewards would look at the incidents regardless if tickets were put in.
The stewards would look at incidents, but they've got a whole fucking team of stewards. For GT4, you've got Dan, PN, Mike, and Argent. For Pro-Am, you've got Dan, PN, me, and Mike. For Pro's the fucking easy one. You've got me, PN, Argent, Old Sim Racer, Robert Ramsell, and John Gooday. 6 of us for Pro. 6 of us. 4 for Pro-Am and 4 for GT4. Now, then you've got to take into account that Mike's not busy with work over the weekend, that Dan's not at his girlfriend's for the weekend, that PN's not at Sutterton for the weekend, that I'm not at fucking in the studio for the weekend, because if Kieran takes football photography for his local club. The minute one of you's away for a weekend, especially if it's one of the main guys to close the tickets, like me, Mike and Dan, you're fucked. Because nothing's being confirmed.
And I can see that point.
No. 5 retirements, plenty of incidents, and nothing's gone in. This is what I mean. If no tickets go in, how the fuck... I mean, I know it's early doors, they've got till midnight tomorrow, but... You know.
You would think with all that carnage that there should be tickets put in. And, I mean, I would like to see the stewards looking at incidents, but I totally understand it takes time. You know, what we need is, take the PC thing out of it, you need one dedicated steward that's going to be in the server as a spectator, like me and you are tonight, like Danny's on a Tuesday, who can save the fucking replays and then delete them when they're done. And if shit like tonight kicks off, maybe not like Indianapolis, 3 pro tickets went in for Indy, it was pretty clean, I thought, last week. But when it's such a shit show like tonight, especially first lap incidents, that one steward can save the fucking replay, take lap 1, pick through it,
put the tickets in.
I
Yes,
know,
it's
that's
more work
Stuart.
than looking at extra tickets, but this may solve that one incident. Right, no one's put a ticket in. We're fucking doing you then.
Yeah, because some stuff needs looking at regardless. Do you know what I mean? You know, it should be done regardless.
Dan, you said in break you come up and over at Crest Hill at the top at Mountain, and there's just cars everywhere.
Yeah.
Who started that?
Exactly, but Dan don't know because he's come over at Mountain up and through the corner. So what's happened there? 4 cars may have come together. Dan's been a part of that.
Somebody knows.
Skunky's not probably going to put a ticket in on Overtaker that I thought Taker squeezed him, that caused turn 2 drama.
Well, this will run, and it's getting late, and I'm going to call it a night, guys.
No worries, dude.
Great racing from a spectator's point of view.
Fantastic drama. Fantastic drama. In fact, how many did we gain? Any? And I think we couldn't have done any more for Aaron tonight, to be fair, and all week. I think it's been a.
Considering we didn't really personally know the guy. I think we've gone up and above to give him a good send off, really. So happy days. Dan, will I speak to you over the weekend, or am I going to see you Monday?
Probably